Good morning and welcome to a regular agenda on Tuesday, June 20th. We have a full quorum present. Katie certified the meeting was properly posted. James Ray, if you'll lead us in prayer and followed by pledges.
Father, we humbly bow before you this morning, thanking you for your presence in this court, that you may guide these gentlemen in the direction you would have them to go for the residents of Walker County. Father, we love you and we thank you for all that you do for us. And we fail to thank you enough, but I want to make it clear that we do thank you. Father, Jesus taught us in Matthew chapter 6:33, said, "But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." Father, may we put our righteousness before you, and that all these things can be added to us. Father, as we seek the kingdom of God first this morning, we ask that you lead us and guide us. Go with us and lead us and guide us. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I protect the flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, one state, under one indivisible.
Any citizens input? Consent agenda contains 13 items. I need to pull number 5. Anybody else?
1, 3, and 13.
3, 13.
And I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda, removing 1, 3, 5, and 13.
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Number 1.
On the page 5, Kerry. Number 34. Motion. I think we need to go back and listen to it and see if I added at the end of it to be bought from an individual also, instead of just public auction.
Yeah,
If not, I'll bring that back.
you did.
I think it was on there.
You did, yeah.
I'll go back and double check if that was number 35,
34.
34.
Yeah.
You'll check that one. That's all I seen on the minutes. I'll make a motion to approve agenda item number 1.
So.
All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Number 3.
Number 3. This may actually be under you, which the radios at 94,000, is that the radios that we're getting in the precincts? Page 20 of 43. So $94,405.38. I guess I'm asking what is it? I don't know.
This was a grant.
That's for air monitors that we got on a grant from TCEQ to give each fire department.
Okay. All right. I wasn't sure what that was. Okay. Anybody else on that one? Make a motion to approve agenda item number 3.
I'll second that.
All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Number 5. Receive the Texas Historical Commission 2022 Distinguished Service Award, Walker County Historical Commission. This is in recognition of his active and well-balanced preservation program. Mr. Collier, you want to come up and receive this? So we'll take a picture.
One slide a moment. 1, 2. Thank you.
Congratulations, Guy. That's my motion.
Second it.
Move second, all in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Number 13.
Number 13, I just kind of wanted to point out that one of our officers did take a little broken bones and stuff, and they don't get the recognition that they probably should get for the things that they do for us every single day, you know, so I do appreciate what they do, and that's mainly why I pulled this one, just to say thank you to our guys and ladies and gentlemen out there in the field. So make a motion to approve the accident report.
Moving seconded, all in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Statutory agenda. Number 14, discuss and take action to accept donation of 2016 Ford Explorer to CSCD from Leon County Sheriff's Office.
Morning, I'm here via Zoom if you need me.
Morning, Chris.
There you are.
Morning.
Here I am.
Wonderful.
Just so you know, this will be titled in the CSCD's name, and the CSCD is responsible for all insurance, maintenance. It's not a county responsibility.
Sounds good.
Me too. I'll make the motion to approve agenda item 14 as presented.
Thank you.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Number 15, discuss and take action to accept donation to OEM Ford Dell Inspiron 153520 laptops, model number P12.
Yes, sir. During the state hurricane exercise last month, we had two female evaluators come in, and the only thing they could see that we needed in the EOC at the time was more computers. And Tyson Epson, who is a CERT member and a ham radio operator that assists Joe working the radios, retired military, he donated 4 laptops to the Emergency Operations Center, and requesting you all accept that donation.
Sounds good.
That's my motion.
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries.
Thank you, Butch.
Thank you. Purchasing, number 16, discuss and take action to correct transfer of FAS number 10441 ambulance from purchasing to OEM. This was our ambulance that we moved from EMS. It was already in surplus, so we need to move it from purchasing over to OEM. And that's my motion.
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Number 17, discuss and take action to approve the purchase of one Motorola APX 4000 series portable radio for Justice of the Peace. That should be precinct 2, not precinct 3. You got any questions on that radio?
No, I'll make the motion to approve agenda item 17.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Number 18, discuss and take action to approve interlocal agreement between Walker County and Taylor County to participate in a jail pharmaceutical contract.
This one we've been doing for a while, isn't it?
Yes.
So it's gonna renew beginning of July.
Make the motion to approve agenda item 18 as presented. Sorry, didn't check the other one.
That's okay. I'll second it. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
17, where we gonna take that money from?
The
Justice Technology.
technology.
Okay, I didn't, Mr. Patricia, is there any way we can? Would it classify, I know we've got some of that, money left over or gone from the, rescue money, the contingency money? Could we classify it there?
It may well, we can check that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Number 19, discuss and take action to approve hiring of temporary employee and county auditor's department to be paid from funds available in salary and benefit budget.
The order approved by the judges allows for the hiring of temporary and part-time as long as it doesn't affect current year, next year budget. But our personnel policies also ask that the court have approval of temporary employees, so that's why it's before you.
Sounds good. Make a motion to approve agenda item 19 as presented.
I'll second that.
Moving second, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Maintenance 20, discuss and take action on API deficiency inspection reports. Larry?
Lot there. That's a lot.
Yes, sir. We have 14 quotes from API. This is our yearly fire inspections. This year, we had several things come upon us that are not normal. We're having to pressure test our FTC connections at our 3 wet locations. Some heads we need to be tested. Just a lot of different things that cause more than normal. The total came to $10,990.33. And I'm asking to pay this out of facility project funds. This is higher than what we estimated at the beginning.
What was it, Larry? 10,990?
No, it's
Now there- A whole bunch of quotes. But it's cheaper than the last quote you got.
Yes, sir. That we dropped, well, I had them recalculate. They had several $300 trip charges in there from one location to another. We were being double charged for labor on the original quote. So that's why it's taking so long. I had to get them to review it, send it to their corporate, get it approved and sent back to us. This is almost $7,000 less than this quote.
I got one question. It's they're charging us a bunch of money for a recharge a water fire extinguisher.
Which location?
The
The senior center?
senior center, yes, sir.
Okay. So this is, they're not necessarily charging labor for that piece of work. The labor charge for them coming and doing the inspection, we've not seen any fees on that yet. So when you see labor on each of these, it's the labor for the tech to come and walk the building and do the physical inspections, plus the labor to get the deficiencies corrected,
Plus the trip charge.
plus trip charges and any parts.
Okay.
All right, Larry. Where do you want to take it from, Larry?
Project funds.
I'll make a
That's
motion.
the project.
I'll make a motion. We, want to take it for project on.
Second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. County clerk, thank you, Larry. County clerk, number 21, discuss and take action to approve county clerk fiscal year 2024 remote birth access contract with Texas Department of State Health Services. Cameron?
This is a renewal on our contract. I believe it's 2027. Quentin has already reviewed these. Mr. Court approval.
I'm gonna make the motion to approve agenda item 21.
Second. Moved and seconded, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. 22, discuss and take action on the reappointment of Morris Johnson and Tracy Swanson for the Tri-County Behavioral Healthcare Board of Trustees. That was in the form of a motion.
I'll second that. They've been doing it for a long time, doing a good job at it.
Moving second, all in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. 23, discuss and presentation of proposed Walker County strategic plan. You should have that in your packet. I'm hoping y'all reviewed. Andy did a great job on working on this. We can still change it if you got any questions, discussions.
Appreciate you got comments or anything? No, like I said, Andy done a good job. He's kind of a mastermind behind it.
No, I think that the committee was set up a while back and the charge to the committee was basically to discuss and determine and make a recommendation to court on how best to proceed with the strategic plan. The committee did a lot of work on that. Obviously, hiring out a strategic plan is very expensive. We looked at the option of the university helping us with that. That did not come to fruition. So the committee decided to put together a draft of the plan. It uses the goals that had been established by court in the past. So Andrew volunteered in quotation marks to.
Voluntold.
Thank you, Andy.
A lot of time putting together, formalizing it, developing the mission and the vision based on just what we see the court going. your committee's putting the plan before you as a starting point. If you accept it as it is, if you want to modify it, if you want to take it into the open market and refine it, that's basically at this point, it's in the court's hands.
Yeah, I think that you put together to keep it pretty simple in the beginning, and the court wants to move forward, make it more serious, but anything probably more serious than this, like my preacher said, it's gonna take some outside funds, so, or outside help, so. I'm sure.
Yeah, I think where we're sitting at today, I think it's probably a pretty decent plan to start with, and later down the road, if we need to do something else, we can, but Andy, you did a good job on it for the 2 weeks you had.
I want to know. Like Tricia said, he's been meeting months, and we just tried to like get the ball started. Like you often hear me say, if there's no dartboard, it's kind of hard to figure out what to fix. So let's get it started, and if there's things in there the commissioners want to update or add to, it's a living document.
Yeah.
You guys approve the data, and you can.
Yeah, well, it's not on for approval. I think it's just presentation
Yeah.
today, but I don't, I really don't have any issues with it at this point. I mean, later we might look at it again, but that's just where I stand on it.
Well,
It's, I think it's a good starting point, but I'm not sure where it goes from here.
Goes on the shelf,
Yeah, at the end of the day, that's kind of what I'm glad that we did it in-house for that,
truthfully.
for that reason, is that it's, you know, it's a good 20,000 foot viewpoint of kind of goals and objectives, you know, mostly for me, because when I'm thinking strategic plan, I'm looking, I'm gonna kind of fall back on my other organization for a little bit. You set out what services you provide and what the community expects of you as an organization. What can you provide? So we don't do zoning, we don't do land management, we don't do transportation, we don't do water, we don't do sewer. So those would never be part of it, but we do provide like emergency medical service. We do provide sheriff's department service. We do provide constable service. We provide record keeping and stuff like that. So where do we want to be 2 years, 5 years? I hate to go much past 5, but 2 years or 5 years from now on our ambulance service, you know, at what point do we say, in fact, when we talk about this year's budget, a discussion about an ambulance, but when do we need one? At what point do we need one after that? How many sheriff's officers do we need to take care of our community? What growth plan do we have to bring them on board and stuff like that? So when I think strategic plan, that's kind of what I see as a next year's budget. We sit down and say, in our strategic plan, we say we're adding, just for fun, we're adding 2 sheriff's officers every year for the next 5 years. So at the end of 2028, we have 10 additional sheriff's officers. Now, how are we going to get there? And stuff like that. So I think this is it's a great start. It kind of hits high marks, but I really don't want to put it up on the shelf.
Well, I'm gonna ask you, I'm gonna put you on the spot then, Bill, since
Yeah.
the other organization got brought into this.
Mhm.
What did they do with it
Discussion
over there?
is that, as Bill was saying, there's not an action plan. But the budget process, really, each year develops the action plan. So where is court seeing us going? And I think what Bill is references is we don't have a capital improvements plan. And I think that is something that would be great for the court to look at and build on the longer term approach that.
Yeah. Yeah. 'Cause-
So it can sit on the shelf over there at the other.
Well, it's not, you know, and you kind of do it.
I didn't want you to get out of this without answering my
Well,
question.
you bring your community in and you tell them, and I'll stay on sheriffs because everybody can relate to public safety and sheriffs. You're like, are you happy with the level of service we have right now? Are you happy that we have 2 deputies on patrol overnight, some nights, sometimes 1, 2 people on patrol? You need somebody new wherever he's in credit. Are you happy with that? And if community is like, no, we're not. Now your plan is, how am I going to remedy that? I'm going to add 2 sheriff's deputies a year for the next 5 years. Everybody understands that every deputy costs us $90,000. So that's a quarter of a penny, 1/4 of a penny on the tax rolls. And you tell them that, hey, part of our strategic plan is to add 2 deputies. And if you adopt that plan, then when you sit down at your budget time, you open your book up and say, okay, fiscal year 2024, our strategic plan says we're adding 2 deputies, 3 ambulances, 5 constables, whatever. That's the plan we adopted, and we put it out there, and the people commented on it and public input. And so we're sticking with that. And it kind of gives you a direction to go, because it kind of reverses. I don't like for your budget drive to sit down and say, we have a nickel. What can I do for a nickel? And I mean, I get poked a lot for, hey, you know, sometimes it costs more to do things. But if your community says, we want, just, I'm stay with the sheriff, we want 10 extra sheriff's officers, that's what we want, then you've been told what to do, and it's in your plan. So when you sit down with your budget, you say, we're going to start off by saying 2 extra police officers, 2 extra sheriff's deputies. That's what the community wants. We'll take care of the rest of the stuff. How are we going to pay for it? Like I've said numerous times up here, we recognize a lot of needs, and then we choose not to fund them. And that's always bothers me. So this is your opportunity to publish your needs, get your public input to say, this is what we as a community want. We're willing to give our input and give you guidance documents, and understand if we want 5 extra deputies over there, or 10 extra deputies over there years, it's going to cost something, and we're electing y'all people to try to make that happen. So I think it's a great starting point. We'll circle all the way back to that, but I really don't want it to die at page 4.
I'm gonna leave it alone, but
There you go.
might get you wound up.
That was fun.
Mr. Morgan.
Yeah.
Just so we're all on the same page,
Mhm.
committee goes to the top. We have goals and objectives identified. The next level below that is, Christian mentioned, would be actually go into individual detailed actions.
Mhm.
The committee chose to stop at this level, but if the court wanted to proceed to action, obviously that's going to add a lot of discussion, quite a lot of additional pages to this plan, and flesh out a lot of other things.
Mhm.
Right now, this is where the committee kind of decided to give to you guys, and then you guys take it from here. If you want more, then, there is a way to do more.
Sure.
The next level would be action items. Under each objective, you would then have actions to accomplish that objective.
And it may be something we do over the next year. I mean, I wouldn't want to rush into something just so we say, gosh, we got it done in time to get it in this year's budget. But I could see something as simple as a community poll. What are your top 5 things that worry you as a Walker County resident, or what are the top 5 things that you see that we need in Walker County that address what's coming up I-45 and coming in from other places, and the services we provide? What do we provide that you don't think we need, or what don't we provide that you do think we need? And, and get that basket of stuff, whatever it is, and address every one of them, and try to put together a 5-year plan to make what happen that we can. So I said, I wouldn't want to rush into kind of down the road this year, but I think that's something that could be done relatively easy, and have it in the books by this time next year, where we can be talking about what we want to do to satisfy the folks here at the county. That's
I'll say I don't see both sides of it. I mean, it's always good to look down the road, but we all know that, when you do something like that, they almost expect it then.
well, they
And-
should
and
expect it.
I understand, but hold on. But when you turn it around and tell them what it's gonna take to get there,
Mhm.
That's when everybody goes to holler.
Mhm.
And I think everybody has big expectations until you hit them in the pocketbook, and so I'm not 100% against looking down the road and trying to get a bigger plan. But you have to be very careful too. That's why this is so broad right now.
Mhm.
Because we all know, I mean, with everything going up, and it can be used against you. It's a promise that you cannot keep at some point in time.
Well, and
And that part bothers me.
And that's where it ends up on the shelf. And that's right, exactly right. That's where I don't want to end up, is on the shelf. But if you do the legwork and you have the community involvement and you have the public comment sections, the public hearing, maybe an online, whatever, or a mail out or something like that. Then when you start packaging your strategic plan to publish, you say, everybody understands we're starting off every year with 1/4 of 1 cent tax increase to fund the 2 deputies that this plan that we've adopted in this community wants. You can make that promise. You can't say I'm gonna give you 12, because then you get in trouble. But if you say, hey, it's 2 and it's 1/4 on the tax roll, we're starting there every year. I mean, it's tough, but if that's what you're asking and that's what they want, then it's up to us to make it happen. And you don't make a promise you can't keep, because it does end up on the proverbial shelf. But if you don't, if you sit down every year like it's the first year you're doing anything, it's hard to move forward. So
It would take a lot of community involvement. You couldn't just have a select few people show up.
no, you
You
want
know,
it.
it'd have to be throughout the county. being able to-
Absolutely. That's why you
get
can't
the
rush it.
involvement.
You couldn't blow it out in the next 6 weeks. That's a 6-month deal to effectively communicate with as many people as you can, either by neighborhood meetings in the various precincts areas and open meetings here and online surveys and just kind of get a discussion. We might be surprised how well or how poor people think we're doing things up here. Don't know. So
Mr. Fisher, we talked about this in the meeting, the city's side. Their strategic plan is not very in-depth. Now, it may break down and go in-depth on different categories like what we're talking about here. But their overall view of this is not very broad. It's pretty broad.
Yeah, my understanding, and when I had asked for a copy of it, the actual document itself is short like ours. Now, what they're doing behind the scenes when they're developing their action plans through their budget and their capital improvements budget is a different side of it. The plan itself is focused like ours is on the big picture. But then they also have capital improvement plans and budgetary, and then they carry out the broad plan through sub-plans per se.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I'm saying the county may want to look at a capital improvements plan and look at other planning to work toward the big picture that's set out in this strategic plan.
And we've got to start, because I know. Can't remember the name of one of the deals you set out to us was discuss, it was write a narrative about where you plan to be with your department. I think that went to every department, correct?
Right, as part of our budget process, we actually formalized last year on the department level, the department set out their goals for their department in this year, and then kind of laid out some of the things they would like to see over the next several years. Some departments approached it from a more long-term plan than others did. But again, that's kind of a sub-plan within the budget process that each of the departments came up with. And then the type things they bring forward in their supplemental requests. So you've got your big plan, and then when you get to your action plans and how you're going to work under these goals and the mission of the county, then you get into your, for lack of a better word, sub-plans and more focused documents. So like when you go into the budget, let's say you adopt this, you've got your strategic plan, you've got your goals, and then now you've got all your supplemental requests that were made by the departments. If you look at all those requests in some form or shape to one of these goals that's been set out in this plan. So everything you approve is really part of your action plan for next year. Again, then you have your more long-term plans, which probably I would like to see to be on its focus, facilities plans. What do we need as far as facilities? What growth do we need in certain departments? And Bill mentioned Sheriff's Office and EMS. That's something the court discusses at depth every year, EMS. So that's all part of making this strategic plan come alive.
All right.
I do appreciate the work on it. I think it's a heck of a start. I do like that
Yeah.
part of it.
You
I
did
just-
good, Andrew, and the committee did well.
Any other discussion? All right, number 24, discuss and take action on distribution of separate grant funds. We got a packet on that.
Yes. Looking at each individual one and making a decision, what's your,
Our decision was that so the committee is me, Tracy, and Lisa Hackett. We did, we gotta get a hold of them.
yeah, I've got.
So we got the $250 for the veterans to be hand radio operators. 9,500 for West Sandy Community Association. Bob Kane, 5,000 for distribution for veterans housing assistance. We have $8,000 for the life skills makeover room for the school district. $1,200 for the Kaboom playground build. $2,763 for the Boy Scouts building wall panels. And $3,000 toward Lions Club flag project.
And that's the funding amounts that the committee come up with.
And so far,
How many applications? Yeah,
this and about 3 others.
I've got one in here that I think satisfies their definition, and that's the veterans, thank you. Yeah, the veterans complex. The direction from Seth was to provide grants for affordable housing and or related services. So to me,
So there are no guidelines. Actually, Steph only requests that the funds be used in low income housing, families, seniors, and veterans.
right.
And then when we met and talked, we talked about community engagement and community involvement.
But that's not low income individuals, families, seniors and veterans. That's community involvement. This is to me, if it's a commercial organization or I love Boy Scouts and stuff like that, but that's ham radio stuff. That's to me, that's not what this is about. I think we either didn't advertise it right, we didn't check right, we didn't do something right, because to me, I said the only one here that's even that I would even consider voting for is the one veterans, because he said that they would keep trying to find it here, that he would manage it.
That's Bob.
Yeah, Bob's, that he would manage it there, allocate money for repairs to veterans homes and stuff like that. And to me, that's what, veterans housing assistant with Bob Kane. That's what it's, to me, that's what it's for.
Yeah, I'm on. Before, we can think about the community,
Right.
and done a lot of good. We built some ADA ramps.
Yep.
And some septic system.
Yep.
And to me, I think it falls more on the actual public, that are in need, not, individual organizations. Not that all these are not, definitely in need, but in the same sense, I would much rather see it go towards helping that's actually in need.
Yeah, I think last time we contacted local churches and asked them, do you have somebody in your church group that was struggling? And they contacted us. We had an application process, and I think we ended up helping like 7 or 8 families that were low income, like I say, needed.
Put a couple roofs on. Like I said, we've done a couple septic systems, some ramps, quite a bit of stuff,
Yeah, that helped him at that level. So I think that's where we need to be with it. So the Bob's, I'm good for that one, but I can't support the other ones right now. I think we need to kind of circle back and either send those to the Seth people and say, hey, what do you think? or make a little bit different outreach to our community and try to get to the individual level where I think this was directed at.
Well, the committee come up with this, right, Judge? I mean, y'all looked at it as far as
Yeah.
the guidelines and things that are there for us to follow.
And again, they're telling us there are no guidelines. They just ask that we use it for low income individual families, seniors and veterans.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, Lisa couldn't be here this morning, but she asked me to present something on her behalf, if that's okay.
Sure.
So, originally when the set funds were requested, Lisa was appointed by Judge Pierce, and on the application itself that was submitted to Seth and approved, it was for affordable housing and related services to assist Creekside Retirement Community, Hearts Veterans Museum, and the community organizational visionary endeavor come center. That was approved and county was granted the $50,000. It's not that we don't support all of these organizations and things such as that. But on a weekly basis, we have people come in, their air conditioner has gone out. Their loved one is coming home from the hospital and they can't even get them into the house because they need a wheelchair ramp. Creekside, I don't know if the community knows, but if a person runs out of funding, they don't just kick them out on the curb. They pull from the reserves and they keep that person in and they take care of them. That's why they have fundraisers and such to help assist with that. The Come Center, he gets hit on a daily basis for rental assistance, utility assistance, and things such as that. This community needs that money to stay in those organizations that reach out and pay rent, pay their mortgage, pay their utilities, repair their roofs, build wheelchair ramps, while all these other organizations are great. And I'm not saying that Creekside, the Hearts Veterans Museum, and the Come Center are the only people that do this. If you want to open it up to other organizations that do these things, by all means do it. But the money was specifically allocated for those reasons. And to be completely honest with you, Lisa has not even met, although you just said that she is a committee member.
she hadn't returned any emails on the meetings either.
Well, I have
And I have those too.
those two, but it's neither here nor there. If we're going to go back, it's no different than if we request funding for hot funds. If I request $2,500 for advertising, but I want to use it for something else, I have to submit back to hot funds and reevaluate the request, and they can pull that money from me. Same as Seth can pull that $50,000 if it's not allocated properly. So that's the concern, is that the money needs to go where it is dearly needed, and that's in repairs, modifications, rental, and utility assistance.
How come there's not been any applications turned in for any of that?
Because there was never anything submitted. I can honestly say, as the director of the museum, I've never heard a word about anything being done through this. Last I heard was there was a committee that was going to be formed, and then I never heard anything else. Never saw any applications, never got any notification, never received anything. But yet, on a weekly basis, we're combining with the American Legion, the VFW, the Elks Lodge, Combat Motorcycle Veterans Group, and other Purple Heart organizations to get repairs done for veterans and widows that need the repairs. But I've never received anything at all at the museum.
Is Lisa on your board?
Lisa is the secretary of,
She has this application also.
we've never received it.
So, Mr. Quentin, can you weigh in on this? How binding is what we done with Seth grant? Seth,
I can't give you a definitive answer without reviewing pertinent documents. I've never seen anything from Seth. I do agree that the initial application, I know it happened last year about,
Look, it came over court. I watched court this morning. It came over in court on October 24th, and she was to come up with a list of organizations to receive the money and come back to court.
I recall that's what was submitted in the application to Seth. It's the list that Judge Sittred doesn't line up with that, but I don't know if that's acceptable or not without reading any of the pertinent documents with Seth. And I don't have them, so we haven't seen them.
I have the application right here.
I've seen the application. That's not what I need.
Okay.
I need
You
the
need to
fund,
back up.
the funding
Yeah.
documentation, the parameters.
Judge Christian, remember the application at some point after you office, judge, the court had a discussion about the awarded funds as applied for. So, made a determination of action to refigure how the funds. Because there were some questions about Creekside, so I started over. I think that was January 30th, but I'm not sure.
I'll always have questions about.
Subsequent.
Me too.
I know we
Yeah.
will, I don't know, you know.
Well, the rest of the court-
That's what we came into court. We
Bill.
talked about making it more of a community engagement.
Yeah, that was part of a discussion. I don't know that that really does anything with the
Yeah.
application part though.
Just to clarify, that is what, without the pertinent documents, I don't know whether you can do that or not.
So should we pass on it to Quentin? Everything, I'm assuming?
Sure.
Well, I think it's, we can either burden him or we can take an action up here of one, these applications that we have here. We can send them to the, what's his name, Ron? Yeah, we can send them to Ron and say, we have maybe the other three if there's three others, these are our applications. You know, any objection to any of these? And if he says, no, they're good to go, then go. You know, that eliminates us from being bound to something. But I really feel like that it's not meant for the West Center, whoever that was. It's not meant for the Boy Scouts to go do Journey Through Bethlehem signs, and it's not meant for that. It's meant for wheelchair ramps and septic systems and leaking roofs and stuff like that. So I think, in my opinion, I think we'll go back to square one and get the word out that we have these funds and see who needs the help at the individual level and see if we can help individuals instead of for-profit companies or people who are organizations that are not low income. They're not veterans. They're not housing assistance related and stuff like that. So that's I guess I'll just make it a motion to not distribute the grant funds and recommend that we search some more for assistance at the individual level.
I don't know that you need to do it in the motion. I think we just.
Pass them.
Whatever,
Some
pass
stuff
on
and
it,
say.
send it back.
And I still like Quentin I mean, if we were somehow bound by what we've done before, then we need to go back and visit that before we move forward.
I would say that checking with Seth is the fastest way. there.
Okay.
I could give you an opinion, but it might not line up with their opinion.
Okay.
You ask
Yeah.
them, okay?
Yeah.
We do have a communication that says there's really not a whole lot of guidelines, and we do have that. So there's a little leeway there. So it's worth the funk. I still think we can do better here.
I'll agree with Bill. I mean, I would much rather spend it like we did before inside the community, helping individual people. I mean, it's of 113 out there, you know.
Yeah, we could probably go to Andy's office and find 5 people who are in trouble with their septic tanks every day that need help.
May I ask, where are the applications so that people that need them can apply?
They're online on our website.
On the county website? Okay, thank you. Thank you.
We'll pass on it for now.
Yeah, pass on that. Number 25. Planning Development, public hearing concerning plat number 2022-051. Replat of lots 26, 27, and 28, block 2, section 2 of the Forgotten Forest subdivision. Thomas Corner Survey A-144 Wood Forest Drive, precinct 4.
So I'm having problems trying to get the backup to the on the screen. Basically, I can't get it. I've tried some, but
You guys have it in your books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably really small.
Very small.
But
Here's one, the bigger one.
I got
Which one is this? This is the Forgotten Forest. Forest on 1374, not 101. This is, yes, sir. Yeah, I know it can be, we got two of them that are, have the same name.
Oh, I had him at 190. Okay,
It's not the 190. It's not.
all right.
Do we have anybody representing Joy and Mr. Chadrick? It's not. Nobody here representing them?
Who just? What are they doing? Just
They're combining the three lots and say, you know, give you a little background, the roads in the subdivision are private roads, we're not paying. Yeah, it's an old legacy subdivision from pre-subdivision policy. They're not creating more lots, they're actually reducing the number of lots by combining three lots in the subdivision, so. If they
Set down 1374
yes,
to the right, going down toward the
off
right.
Lost Meadow Road.
Yeah, okay.
Right, coming from you, yes.
Yes, it's on your end,
Yeah.
On my end, it's on the left.
right on my side.
Do you have any concerns with that, Andy?
I have a couple of, when we get to the actual action item, I have a couple of contingencies on the.
Would you post that open at 9:45? The public hearing? Anybody got anything else on public hearing? 9:46 will close public hearing. Number 26, discuss and take action on plat number 2022-051, replat of lots 26, 7, 28, block 2, section 2 of the Forgotten Forest subdivision, Thomas Corner, survey A-144 Wood Forest Drive.
I would request, I guess you can make it, I would request that the court in their motion, if they choose to approve, would be contingent upon revised final plat showing that Forgotten Forest as a private subdivision and the roads as a private road.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about
Should
that.
be labeled on the plat. Number two, revised final plat to include section 8.3 language that's in our subdivision regulations. That should be on the plat as well. And then a revised final plat with lien over signature completed with all those signatures. Those are the three contingencies I would request. I'm getting a copy. You already give her a copy?
Yes.
I'll make the motion to approve with the three contingencies.
I'll second that.
Moving second, all in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. 27, public hearing concerning plat number 2023-019, replat of lots 23 and 24, block 1, section 1 of the Texas Grand Ranch subdivision, J. Lehman, survey A-327, Texas Grand Road, precinct 2. Time is 9:48.
This is again to combine very narrow and deep tracks into one track of 8.41 acres. In Texas Grand Ranch.
Should this have the 3-to-1 variance attached to it now that they're creating
It's
this lot
combining with existing lots that both
that were already exceeded it?
previously had variances on the 3-to-1.
My question, they should already have a variance.
Yeah. Okay,
Actually making the definition better than. Absolutely.
I don't know if it's part of it now.
I'm waiting for the clock.
so about one more minute already.
All right, 9:49, we'll close public hearing. Number 28, discuss and take action on plat number 2023-019, replat of lots 24 and 25, block 1, section 1 of the Texas Grand Ranch subdivision, J. Lehman, survey A-327, Texas Grand Road.
You got any concerns that need to be addressed here?
No, sir. No contingencies.
Make a motion to approve agenda item 28 as presented.
I'll second.
Moving second, all in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. 29, public hearing concerning plat number 2023-025, replat of west half of 41 and 42, block 3, section 1 of the Wildwood Shore subdivision, GW Robinson survey, A-454 Hunters Creek Drive. Time is 9:49.
There's a lot that was in here that was previously split into by replat. They're taking half that lot, combining it with a whole other lot, the largest. It's actually moving it from smaller tract to larger tract. The original split was occurred way back. It was actually. Again, I have some contingency in the action item, but no additional comments on that unless you guys have questions. Is there anybody here? Is there anybody here for that one?
Alright, public hearing closed at 9:50. Number 30, discuss and take action on plat number 2023-025, replat of west half of lot 41 and lot 42, block 3, section 1 of the Wildwood Shores subdivision, GW Robinson Survey A454, Hunter's Creek Drive.
So we would request similar contingencies to the previous, the revised plat would show private subdivision or private road. Include the section 8.3 language and the revised final plat for the location of the special flood hazard area, which would go under the original plan, should be found on the replat as well. I make the motion to approve with those three contingencies.
I'm saying all in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. 31, discuss and take action on Kenneth and Shay Irwin request for variance to sections B 2.7 and B 2.9 of the Walker County subdivision regulations regarding building setback lines and utility easement requirements for plat number 2023-018, replat of lot 16 and 17, block 2, section 10 of the Wildwood Shore subdivision, GW Robinson Survey A454, North Forest Drive, Silver Lake Drive.
They're requesting to be allowed to use the building setback line and utility easement that was in place when the subdivision was originally platted instead of the one that's in the code. We have no objection to that. It is a private subdivision, as we previously mentioned, and the utilities and the building setback lines were set when the original plat was filed, before our new regulations were adopted. Okay, so variance request, we just gonna do it, come back to the plat. I'll make motion to approve item 31.
I'll second that.
Move second, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Number 32, discuss and take action on Mark and Dana Smith, request for variance to section 5 of the Walker County subdivision regulations regarding amending plats to be allowed to process under section 232.010 of the Texas Local Government Code for conveyance of portions of plotted lot via meets and bounds description for lots 75, block 7 of the Harmon Creek Ranchette subdivisions, John Crane Survey, A-14- North Fork Lane.
So the situation is that this 1 acre tract that the applicant is applying for apparently was sent out by deed back in 1993, separated then, sold a couple of times since then. He's not the one that did the original vision, and he's seeking to move forward to develop the property. So that requires it to be brought into compliance with the subdivision regulations. There is an acre out of that tract that he is the owner of. Not a survey of it, but we do have. There's a corner, a 1 acre corner out of that lot.
Yeah.
It's on the corner there. He's asking for the court to allow for the meets and bounds sale under 232.010. His alternative action would be to file an actual replat of with a variance of that portion of the lot, or without a variance, and get the other owner involved. So we're going back we're about 30 years back. When the split-out took place.
So how big is it then?
1 acre.
It's a 1 acre lot. He's actually applying to put a wastewater system on it and develop the tribe, but we can't move forward the application until I've got a legal lot. So it either requires a replat to make it compliant with the rules or an action by Commissioners Court under 23201.
You said it was split out. I thought it was a bigger lot. I read all this. Okay, I misunderstood.
How about it, Bill?
I mean, I don't have any troubles with it. I know which one he's talking about. And it's on side up there and it's all called out up there.
Got out of this portion of the lot there.
Okay, so on the corner.
Yeah, it's right there on the corner, right?
Okay, well, I think that there was a piece of it. Yeah.
That's from.
Yeah.
It would have to sustain onto these horses to these no permit for the.
So the yellow
Yeah.
part there, how
That's-
big is that?
The whole lot is, I think,
Used to be like 5
About
acres.
4 or 5, I think like 5 acre tracks in there.
Most of them, I heard about 5, 6 acres.
Okay.
That's an old subdivision.
Just all, about 5 acres.
yeah, I think it's 5 acres.
Yeah.
Roughly.
I don't think there's anything really smaller than 5. Some of them a little bit bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna make the motion to approve agenda item number 32 as presented.
Second.
Saying all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. 33, discuss and take action on Brian and Emily Wright request for variance to on-site service facility regulations of Walker County, Texas regarding permit application number 2023-0116 Sky Oak Road.
So the request is that there's a creek and they want to cross the creek with their wastewater line as been mentioned to the court several times before. CCQ doesn't list a specific method for doing this crossing. They do have a method for crossing drainage easements. It requires it to be sleeved and right below. That's essentially the requirements that they're wanting to impose if they can do this. The court has in the past granted related to this item in order to move the wastewater from the front of the lot to the back of the lot to utilize this area for disposal. They've got to move it across the creek. And the variance request is simply how to make that crossing because the code doesn't specifically, I don't know why, but the code doesn't specifically address that. It does address, however, if you cross a drainage easement and lays out a methodology for that, that's the methodology that they're proposing to use.
Yeah, well, I read that the sanitarian actually signed off on doing all that. So. You have any issues with it, Andy?
No, sir. I mean, it's, the request is to use something that's already laid out in the code for a slightly alternate purpose.
Yeah.
But, if you're gonna allow it, that's probably as good of a mechanism. You can tie back to the actual code.
Anybody got any questions? or
I
anything?
like it.
Make a motion to approve agenda item 33 as presented.
Saying all in favor, raise your hand. Motion carried.
Now, fun stuff.
Budget workshop.
Break time. Yeah, if I could, go.
Well, somebody wants a 5-minute break. 5-minute break.
That means 5 minutes. Yeah.
right, time is 10:08. We'll start back with our workshop on budget. Ms. Allen.
I'm planning for our first meeting in July, which is our normal schedule. I'll have the worksheets that show the prior year actuals, the current year budget, and then, of course, the column for the proposed budget. I thought today what we would do is talk about whatever the court wants to talk about, but if y'all would like to begin to go through and look at the supplemental request and see if there's some consensus on some of the items or however you want to approach it this year. Historically, what we've done is presented for the complete list that the departments have submitted. And I give you a list. The original list you get is just a departmental listing. And it shows all operating cost, all salary and benefit costs, shows the cost of each percentage to cost of living or adjustment to the pay classification system, just to give you an overview of what all the requests are that are going to be placed before you. Then I do second list that basically separates all the salary related requests from the operational requests so that you can go through that list. So what you have in your book is the complete list by departments. Court can go through each of those line item by line item and maybe give some guidance as to what you would see in quotation marks built into the summaries that you receive next week. So in very broad terms, what we have available for next year is about $2 million in new ongoing money. And those are made up basically of three things. One, new property, new value added to the tax roll, increase in sales tax, and increase for interest earnings. So about $2 million. Historically, I've taken 200,000 off the top and moved it to road and bridge operations. The request this year was to take 300,000 off the top and move that to road and bridge to help cover some of the increased cost of materials that you've seen a lot this year.
And that's the one we split up our road miles, right?
The other thing that is looming from last year is $400,000 of the operating cost of EMS was funded with a one-time transfer. So between the 3 and the 4, if you decide to build that out of the new money, that would leave about 1.3 million. If you decide to partially build the operations for EMS in there, then of course you adjust that number. There was a lot of discussion in prior years about road and bridge, or during the current year, that road and bridge is underfunded and needs additional money just to keep up with the roads that are being added and the cost of materials and the increase in cost. There was been discussion about EMS historically is not funded with the revenues associated with the ambulance. It is a tax supported operation, and whether or not there needed to be a plan for that. We've got, in addition to the SEF money that the court was talking about today during the meeting, we have several sources of funds that can be allocated. We have the revenue sharing money, which can be used for any governmental purpose, preferably one time. We've got about $380,000 there. Over the last 2 years, we received $176,000. It was all tied in with the COVID money and whatever. So we've got that pot of money, but that really needs to be one-time money. Earlier in the year, we talked about the interest earnings on the capital projects money and the 5 million that we set aside. There's quite a bit of funds there, 300,000 plus. That could be a one-time source of money also. One thing that the court could consider is transferring those interest earnings to Road and Bridge this year. And then that money would be available for carry forward into next year. And that would be a lot of help in helping you recoup the increased costs that you've seen for the last several years. Won't help you in future years because it's not an ongoing source of money, but it would give you some relief. So you've got that option. And of course, the Seth money, you still have that to obligate. So that money's out there that you can consider as you go through the budget. So I guess my question to the court is, do you want to just start going down the list of what you got? I know you've had your books for several weeks now. I know that we've had time to read it. So we can pick and choose what you talk about. Go down the list and just kind of get a consensus of where you are on those items. And if there's anything here that you would like to hear more about and schedule a presentation. I know one of the things on the list is discussion about another another EMS station. There's a supplemental request presented for a building. So some of these larger things, you may want to deal with those separately and do a presentation on those. The others, the department heads gave good descriptions on most of them, and then court can decide where you want to go from there. So if court will give me some guidance as to what you want to do, we'll do it.
That's nice. Well, I'd just say start going down the list.
Okay. All right, do you want to use the list in front of you, and then when we can look at the operations side of it separately from
Yeah.
personnel, or we can just go straight down the list and talk about all of them.
Just
one at a time?
straight down the list, what I
Okay.
say.
All right, so everybody, okay, have the list in front of you. Of course, the first item on the list is maintaining the adopted plan with the changes that were approved during the year. You've got the cost there for each of the funds. An update to the adopted pay classification system and salaries. And the numbers shown here is a 5%. And then of course, to figure out what each 1% cost, you would divide those numbers by 5. Third thing showing is one of the things we talked about in last year's budget was that everybody was budgeted at midpoint regardless of the years of service. Court elected to help mitigate that somewhat by increasing and modifying the longevity plan. Here's an option that if you increase that longevity plan, this is what it would cost for a $50 a year, not a month, but a $50 a year increase. So your calculations of there, and then if you would like to do less, of course, you would just.
What did it go from to get to the 170? Where was it at?
It was at $60 a year to 170. It was a healthy increase.
Yeah, and it made a difference, I think.
It
when we
did.
took it
I
out,
think
because,
it did.
Well, and the reason it was done is because you had so many people that were already topped out that wouldn't get anything. That way, with increasing longevity, everybody got something.
Then what's not calculated is what the juvenile probation grant match will cost. That usually runs in $10,000 to $12,000 range, but we've not gotten anything on those grants yet. So that's an unknown number. And then 2 contingency numbers. This is what we budgeted this year. So that would come out of one-time money, and my recommendation would be that we budget that next year. Central dispatch, this is the, this is the increase for the central appraisal district. This is a calculated figure by statute. So this is a larger increase than what we normally see in this area, but that is the number we've been presented. Central dispatch, a description they're requesting to be added, that would be the county's cost across the board. This is half of the 5% increase for dispatch. Senior Center asked for a $2,500 increase in their contract. Tri-County asked for the normal $28,728 that we've been paying for last year, this year, and next year. That's being funded out of ARP money. And then they've asked for a one-time $50,000. And I think this was talked about in his presentation that they gave to court.
Well,
I'd be
it was
taking that out.
It really never was justified.
No.
Yeah.
We're already got 200,000 a year going to the, out of ARP funds. Right?
Out of ARP funds, right?
200 plus
Yeah.
what we normally give them,
I'd say scratch that for now. That's where I'm at on it.
Which one?
50,000 to the Tri-County.
The ongoing cost is what we,
And ongoing, the court can decide to add that to the tax rate this year or wait until ARP is over, which would mean they would not need to, you would not need to do that until year 3.
I think we ARPA that whole thing.
Okay. Boys and Girls Club made no request for an increase. Y-Teen Life made a request for $50,000 last year. County had funded them at about $15,000 a year. Last year, they didn't ask for a request, and this year they've come back with $50,000. And I think in the narrative, you can read in the narrative what they plan to do with it.
So they want
It's one time.
another 50,000 on top of what we're already doing.
It's not, nothing is in the budget, because last year
They didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's interesting in that it's called Y-Teen, not YMCA, and YMCA is who we had the contract with last year. So that one, I wasn't clear myself on that one exactly. If that was the same organization, if this is the same program, or about this
Yeah.
one. So
I would say scratch it in my opinion, but I mean, we can't
Or at
find
least circle
everything.
it and come back to it.
Yeah.
I'm kind
County
of-
Judge Office, a reclassification of a position. In our county IT department, a request for an analyst 2 position, an office administrator position. Increase in the Microsoft volume license. This is basically what court approved a week or so ago for this year. This is going to be an annual cost. NetMotion upgrade, operations Laserfish licensing, and this is an ongoing operating cost. There's money in the budget for the implementation side of this project, but not the ongoing cost.
Did they ever fill that open position that's been open forever in IT?
They have not.
And they're asking for more help and they can't fill that one position.
And my take on it, and I'll let the judge speak to it. My take on it, in the study that the IT assessment, it was recommended that the staffing be increased over a period of years. But right now, we do have the vacant position.
Or the vacant position, what's the funding level on it? Do you?
Not quite this much. I think I think this is a higher pay grade. This is the analyst 2. May have more luck applying at this level than at the other level of what
Well,
we're,
then maybe we need to do away with the other one and increase this. one.
that's an option for the court.
And there's also, what we don't have there is I'm just like a help desk. You know, every call to IT that my email doesn't work isn't a Dan scenario.
Which is his second request.
Yeah, well-
He has no administrative support at all. The two people we have there is our director, who is a very much of a hands-on working director involved in every single
Right.
aspect. And then you have Jason, who is doing the work, but they have no one that they can hand off, or that can do something as simple as respond to emails entered into the work order system.
Right.
They have no one there for that.
They have gotten 2 applications for interns.
I asked Mr.
See what it
about
was.
this position was actually part of the IT assessment. And that's the
Exactly.
reason he asked for it.
Both of these are.
And if I could interrupt, the vacant position is the IT system administrator. This year it's budgeted at 76,401.
6,401.
So is that salaries or salaries and benefits?
That's just that.
So this 88,831, except 37
That is
$1,000 more.
and benefits. So this one here is less. This one's gotta be a $5,000 salary.
64.
64? Okay, 64,000.
Oh, yeah, it's on.
Oh, I'm not on that page.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry about that. I'm over.
Yeah,
All right, so
The 76 is just salary.
yeah,
Vacant. Is
right.
that what you said?
And actually, that salary and this salary maybe, in fact, let me
I
look.
told
So-
Dan I'm not for hiring nobody till he fills that one.
I don't see.
So
No.
I guess, are we gonna go through all of this without any presentation from the departments at all?
Nobody has called to set up a presentation.
Well, I've asked
We,
the
we've
sheriff.
asked a few of them,
Well,
and when they came to ask for setting up a presentation, we told them, just let us know, and nobody came back saying this anything.
The
Okay, so-
position that's asked for, the 88, that is actually at a lesser salary than the position that's advertised.
So, I mean, to me, we're having troubles hiring people. And we have 2 really skilled people over there, Jason, and they do awesome, but they do too much, you know, for. So if if an intern can be a help desk person, and a lot of times that's the entry level in, then that may be a direction to go, but I'd like to see how much time we free up. I don't know if we could fill these positions or not. The office admin, if that is the help desk person, that's who I think I would like to see over there versus chasing another network administrator again that we can't hire, you know? And so, if the analyst too, that's pretty expensive help desk person. So maybe it's, I don't know. That's the level I think they need. They need somebody to answer the phone, respond to the work orders. My email's not working, my internet's too slow. Can you do a speed test? That's not pull Dan or Jason off a server rebuild like it is right now. That's what they have to do.
okay, so that goes back to why we're not,
It's a 40,517 position.
that goes back to why do we not have Dan sitting here so we can ask him these questions? I'm just saying, I mean, this is,
It's hard to do without,
yeah, we've got a ton of questions and we're going through this budget and really, we don't have any answers for them. You know,
He is in the courthouse. He's working on upstairs, so.
but I'm talking about, I mean, I've had.
All the way down the list.
Interested in being at this budget. I mean, the sheriff and them are here. I've had several constables, mention it, just different departments overall. And, I don't know if we need to send out something overall countywide that, if you're gonna do this, then get on the list or be left off, one of the two. I don't know. It's hard to ask these questions, to sit here and make decisions when you can't get them answered. But that's just me. We can move on like we're doing.
No, I don't disagree with you.
Judge, on the intern, I know that early on, I was in a meeting with you and Dan, and it was a discussion about university and an intern. Has that been any luck in that?
No,
I mean, the reason we can't hire is because the money's not there. Is that what it is, Patricia? I mean, bottom line.
That's it.
So what
guys at the
number
college-
do we have to be at to be able to fill that position?
The position that's there,
Yes.
honestly, we don't know because We really only got the new job description out within the last 4 to 5 weeks. It's been at a different job description and whatever, very old, where the job description was rewritten and a more descriptive narrative of what was looked for. But that position's only been out there, what, Judge? 5 weeks, a
Right.
month?
And no
when-
applicants?
When Dan redid that job description and put it out there,
Has it been redid?
I was under the impression.
I don't
that
even-
it
I don't
had
think it's been redid.
redone, But it's been very recently, so I don't know if we've actually had enough time at this new salary study rate to know what number we need.
Okay, so the number you gave me a while ago, the 76 number, that's what we come up with during the salary study, right?
If that's the salary study.
What was it prior to that? Do you remember?
It was a lot lower, but I can't give you the exact
So, I
number.
mean, it
It
was-
was probably 8 to 10,000 lower.
It was 65.
65, so it has come up a little bit.
Yeah.
59 and 22.
Well, and that goes back to if you can't fill the position, then maybe we need to look at this one and doing away with other one, like what you were talking about,
Yeah.
adding to it. I mean, I don't know. But
I mean, I don't know that we need to, would fix one of them where you can hire somebody. I couldn't go along with having another position that we can't fill one anyway. So let's fix the one we already got.
All right, I think really Dan does need to weigh in on that because I do know if the new salary position has been out there, it's not been out there very long. So I think we need to find out when that position was added with the new job description and how long it's been out there and if there's been any response to that at all.
All right, so,
Going on down to maintenance.
well, let's stay on this one for a little bit, because
Okay.
do we tell Dan that? I'm not gonna- he needs to tell us what that department, maybe we go get him, and it kind of goes back to Danny's comment that these are questions that the top of the food chain guy, I mean, we have a little 2 paragraphs in here, but the justification for his analyst 2 doesn't fit the workforce recommendation decision tree on the page behind it. It says, it calls for technicians. And the administrative assistant that he's asking for, her role or his role is to field incoming calls and assign them to technicians. And we don't have that yet. So.
well, and we don't know what he can do with it without.
Exactly.
I mean,
And we may be better off if we can't fill that is get the intake person in there.
Yeah.
Just-
I tell you what
and
generally what
let them have
happens
at
is
least a break from the paperwork part of it.
if you get somebody in, a good person at the help desk level, and once again, I'll base this on where I've been before. You can get somebody here and they generally they're from here, they want to be here, and they get in the door and they start interacting with all of these programs and all these, and they get very familiar with the system, and 9 times out of 10, they're the ones that promote up after a little while because they know everything. They know the questions, and Dan and Jason are over their shoulder saying, oh yeah, that's a widget maker or whatever. And they just kind of start picking it up, and they're computer savvy anyway, just to get into the seat, and whether it starts off as an intern or what. But I think for me as a customer of IT, I would like when I pick the phone up to call them that somebody answer it, or if I get a work order sent in that, a response back of, hi, this is Jim Bob, the help desk guy. Let's go through a few things real quick. Check this, check that. That fixed it. You're good. Or no, it didn't fix it. I'm going to assign this to somebody else and they'll get back with you. That's a customer service thing to me that I think we lack, not because they don't want to, but if he's neck deep in a server somewhere, he can't say, I'm sorry, your email is only operating at 50%, I'll get on that right away, like, hey, I'll check that when I put this forest fire out over here. So
And the other side of that, I see the first position as a second Jason. If you hire a second Jason, Jason can do the function of the office administrator, but the office administrator may not can do the function of Jason. So the question really for Dan is, which position is the most helpful? And having someone that can do dual purpose, sit there and be the office administrator, and also making the 40 new computers for CSCD or juvenile workable. So really, it's a question for Dan, which one is the best multi-purpose person? If a position is going to be added, what is the best multi-purpose or single purpose mix that you need?
I don't see adding anything if we can't
Sure, what he could.
either fill that one or convert that one, to secretarial, whatever you want to call it.
Advertise it, promote it. That's not enough money, bring it back to court and tell us
What the problem is.
what the problem is and what you need.
That's kind of where I'm sitting on.
Well, and like I said, Bill's got some good points. I mean, if you don't have nobody taking the income and stuff, no, you're drowning anyhow. So,
They've been drowning for a while.
yeah.
Yeah, and if we're not
And we've asked him for you.
actively looking, hunting, advertising for that position, we need to be.
And you might can find somebody coming out of the high school looking to
Yeah.
hard up. I don't know. Of course, the high school kids I tried to work, I don't want them, but that's just, it is what it is.
But I
But
mean,
this is on a computer, so.
Okay, I'm talking about manual labor.
Yeah.
but in all reality, that's questions that he ought to be answering to us. I mean, if not, we have no direction to go on what we're doing.
And as far as things that really, no choice, is the Microsoft volume licensing. We
Right.
can't function without that. That really must be funded. The NetMotion upgrade, most likely that's an existing software and needs to be upgraded. Your Laserfish licensing, I do know on that one that our current version of Laserfish is going out of business. It's no longer supported, so this one is really not much choice there. Your choice would be to go away from Laserfish to something else. But we have many offices that use Laserfish, and we have tremendous amounts of information stored in there.
But do I have,
Comment on that. Our office is transitioning, believe we're gonna be able to transition away from Laserfish.
Yeah.
But we do have a lot of data.
So is this, you've already got budgeted for the licensing? Is this something new?
This is the ongoing,
This is
the current licensing structure is you paid for Laserfish, then you paid an annual maintenance agreement. Of course, the model they're using now, it's a subscription based, and so we'll pay this amount every year based on the licenses.
I called Dan, asked him, same thing, is this an addition to? He said, yeah, this is $55,000 more. And I was like, that's gargantuan. And then I asked him, what do other counties use for their records and stuff like that? He was gonna check on that. And I got nothing back, maybe because he's busy, because it's only him and the other guy, but I got nothing back. But until we get a survey of what is the industry standard, what are y'all going to? What is Montgomery County, Brazos Valley, Brazos County, all these other counties? What are they using? And if it's getting away from Laserfish and there's a little growing pains and it's $25,000-$30,000 a year less, I think we owe it a look. A $55,000 maintenance contract increases. It's
a lot.
It's a lot without any sort of,
It's supposed to be going out of date.
yeah. If he's,
This may very well be something we would want to work with that Evolvers group and have them do us kind of an evaluation of where we need to be with our document management.
Because this is not, our current laserfish is not going away this next calendar year. It's like 2024 or 2025. So there's a little time. So I would definitely say, if there's a company that will say, nope, everybody's staying with them, tough luck, or Jim's record keeping specials is $8 a year. That's where everybody's going. I just about got to see that. Or
And I do think in the IT assessment, document management was one of the projects that was listed. So certainly asking them to do a follow-up on that and recommendations, we can send that to them and get a work order and bring that back to court.
We're gonna circle it and look at it real
I'm not even gonna circle it.
hard. If not, I won't forget, I'll forget about it.
yeah,
And then
I know the ones I don't like.
the 9,315, this is the new features that were added for jewelry and part of that. So this is the ongoing cost of something that was added in the current year. So that one's really a kind of a must do. And we'll come back to these and y'all can do some yeses and nos, but at least let's go through the list so you see what all you're referring to.
okay.
Maintenance, this is not a reclassification of a position. There is maintenance ones and maintenance twos. And Larry has a maintenance one position that he would like to budget as a maintenance two so that he can reassign additional responsibilities to them. Overtime budget, he has no overtime in his budget. He's asking for the overtime versus the comp time. I'm sure he's probably getting too high on comp time because the weekend and night work and the scheduling there. Utilities, of course, are increasing. We need an increase in the utilities budget. One-time request, some ballistic glass at the JP3 building. This could be paid for out of the Justice Security. But we're bringing that before you just so that you can see that and this may very well be something that you'll see.
Do we have,
So
go ahead.
that opening up a can of worms. Or do the other?
I don't know about worms,
So the
but
rest of them have-
I don't know.
certainly it probably will highlight the need for the other JPs, something. they need.
So what fund did you just mention? Justice, what'd you say, as far as a funding source for this? You mentioned something.
Justice Security.
All right, so is that a standing account we have?
DA's office
We
may
have now.
About $40,000 in that account.
They have two special accounts as Patricia can lay out for you. They have a security fund, they have a technology fund that actually is created by people paying filing fees and things like that. Like a certain percentage of that.
Yeah.
And that's what goes in there. So it's not gonna affect you on your tax rate.
All right, so he has identified this as a concern, and we have that fund over there now. I would tell the guy to do it now. We have the funds. There's no special magic happens October 1. And Judge Jeffcoat has decided that this is a security thing he'd like to put in place. So,
No reason not to do that.
yeah, if the money's there, let's just tell Jeffcoat to put a purchase request in or
So he's taking it.
out of that Justice Security Fund. It's already sitting there, yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that either.
All right, so who's gonna tell him that? Is that gonna come from?
He's your guy.
Well, I'll tell him that then. I just want to be sure that I had the system right.
Go for it. He's your JP.
I don't need no brownie points with him.
Ms.
All
Allen,
right.
Ms. Allen,
You might.
I think the reclassification, maintenance 1 and 2, I think Larry did away with that. That was for Cody that left.
I'm sorry, Judge, I did not hear.
But reclassification, maintenance of 1 to 2,
Uh-huh.
I think he did away with that. That was for Cody that left.
He did away with it, you're saying?
Mhm.
All right, so that just, okay.
So that goes away.
It's one of the ones we could have afforded.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so but that's a point to make.
Well,
It's $2,600. So
Down
why
the
don't we
road,
make him a
though.
2 and you can hire somebody that has a skill set that's gonna stay with you.
We already hired somebody that has this training.
All right. See. We'll see how long he
Wow.
stays.
Uh,
And this other guy left for some reason. or whoever the guy was left. He left for a reason. I don't know what it was, but for $2,600 a year, if everybody else is a 2 and he's the only one, why have 1 that you can't tell him to do stuff that the 2s do? Why
Well,
not
you
do
can
that?
still tell him to do it. It doesn't matter for us whether he does it or not.
Well, but there's a fairness factor to it too.
Well, I
there
don't,
was, there was a reason he asked this though, so if you want to know the answer, you're not visible here.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, seriously.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, I need a consensus, or am I striking it out or no?
I wouldn't strike it yet.
Yeah, until we get some
Clarification.
from her.
Okay.
Unless the judge got clarification, you know.
Yeah.
More than we know.
Overtime budget, operations, utility, we were on the district attorney building improvements. Again, this is something that's being asked for. I think this most likely is a project that's been going on and discussed for a long time. We have facilities projects money, so this is another item that between the DA and Larry, they could decide if they want to do it next year, bring it to court this year.
All right.
That's not us, that's them. We just want the wall to stop flooding.
Is that still going on?
Oh,
Please stop.
oh, okay.
You may just have to
Last
move.
time I visited with him, he said it got a little better, but it's still. Yeah,
But we also haven't been wet.
exactly. It's drying out, yeah.
So maybe ask Larry to look at that now and bring it back to court. Okay. And then an inspection camera and the scout locator. I don't recall where this would go. I don't recall.
I'd be for that because that's a tool that they need to help do what they do with the jobs.
Yeah, it helps them look in
Yeah.
drain lines and stuff.
They
Every time
hire
they do it
somebody.
now,
for it. Yeah, they
Yeah,
need to buy
Rodney.
that for 'em.
Yeah, like 2 or 3 trips from Rodney, you could have bought the dang thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The courthouse landscaping, $4,000 as an ongoing.
So on that, did we take off the lawn mowing from his budget?
I do not see a lawnmower.
No, so we were paying for
The
lawn
contract.
service.
We were, right. No,
No, that his budget was not reduced for that.
this is just,
That was by a contract, right?
Yes, but
Would that contract have been in his
the
budget?
court acted to send notice to,
We did, we canceled that but is that in his ongoing budget?
it is in his ongoing budget.
So we need
So
to,
we can look at that and possibly remove either the utilities
I
or,
don't need to give him 4,000 if he's got that money in it.
oh, that's true. We could, okay.
just slide
We'll
it
look at
over.
that.
Okay,
It's very possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
cause I thought that, and then for the jails cleanup crew, or whatever it's called, they asked for $3,000-4,000. That could also come out of that part. We just reallocate money over.
So probably can remove that one.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, central cost, this is our budget for autopsies, that is, ever increasing. But at least some increase in there, 30,000 looks like what we will be over this year, but do need something there, not the full 30.
Tricia, what was do you have any idea what the total was for the whole year on that?
For the autopsies,
Yes, ma'am.
less than 50.
Less than 50.
Oh, no, you know what? I'm sorry, that was the ambulance services. I'll have to look at that.
Thank you.
Yeah, because it seems like every time we get a bill, it's 8,000, 15,000. It's
Yeah, that-
extremely
That's a
high.
lot.
I'll bring you back a number on.
I got a
that.
meeting on that one today. I got a meeting on that today.
In my budget, I'm asking for a one-time, that subscription I brought before you a couple of weeks ago, the debt book. I'm asking to budget money for the contract for next year. Again, my intent is to do it, figure out how we can do it in-house and then not have to renew it. This first year, it was 11,000 because they were giving us a discount.
Mhm.
My hope is that we won't have to renew this, but I'm not at a point where I can ask you to build it into my budget. Treasurer, and collections, cyber training that everyone in the county has to take. TAC has provided that at no cost in the past. They are going to start charging for that in the new budget year. Postage, this 8,000, is an increase in postage budget. There's not been an increase in postage in our budget many, many years, but this also includes, and the main reason for this increase is all the jury summons packages. This includes the postage for all the cost associated with that jury package.
So there was some talk about that, if we're doing all the jury summons through treasurer's office, is there still postage in the other budgets as well?
There is, but not not much. Because this really, postage is really a little bit of a misnomer. It does include postage, but it also includes the handling
postage.
fees and all
That's a lot
the
of
costs associated with title doing this. But so
Really?
the postage in the other departments
Copiers.
was not removed. The one that had the most postage, of course, is district clerk and county clerk.
So who's fat?
JPs don't mail out a lot, so they don't have much postage in their budget.
Richard, Dan, here if you wanna-
Oh, Dan, y'all want to? Dan?
Yeah, I'd love to hear from Dan.
Okay.
Come on up, Dan.
Since you were right there at a good stop.
Throw it in the hot seat.
Yeah, just get right in there, Dan.
Doing supplemental requests, Dan.
It's gonna be.
Okay, I can see it from over here.
Okay.
All right, for the budget request, the IT department is requesting adding position. One is a IT analyst 2 position. And the other one is an office administrator position. This is per the IT assessment. They're recommending where the department needs to be to support the county to be more efficient. I'd say at the moment, we're doing a good job maintaining and fixing issues. But where the county needs to go is in the advancements in IT, we're gonna need more positions. And while these positions are open and unfilled, we could use the same funds for the contracting in the short term till we get these positions filled.
When you say contracting, tell me what you're talking about.
We have put in place contracts to do projects, network cleanup. And the such, similar to what we're doing with the Dynamics 365 transition to the government cloud. Just projects that are just too time consuming and would take Jason or myself away from the day-to-day operations that we need to address.
Just to remind Court, earlier in the year, the money that we have budgeted for the vacant position that was transferred to the projects fund to use to contract with most likely the Evolvers group. And one of the things was all the network, the possibly working with the communications switch out and getting ready for that. It can be used for what we talked about a little bit earlier, the document management project. So what Dan's saying is when a position is not filled, we request court to be allowed to use that money to hire contractors to do that work that's not being done in-house.
So Dan, elaborate on the position. Why can we not get the position?
Yeah, can you bring them up to date on where you are on your current vacant position?
The current vacant position is, I would say, the top tier that's under me. The issue I'm having is getting applicants that have the qualifications for that position. That's number one. 90% of the applicants do not meet the requirements, no experience, no certifications. And then the other issue is the ones that are qualified are asking for more than what it's budgeted for.
Okay.
So, like I said, that's my top tier under the IT director.
All right, so
These two positions, one would be a level above the current position that's held, that's filled. And that's to migrate and get more experience in the department. And then the second position would be more of an office administrator that can answer the phone, create a work order for someone, reset a password, lower end. So I'm trying to get more personnel that can bring in different points of view. To kind of have, with just two people, we're just kind of limited on that knowledge and experience. And we don't have the input to, more input would be better.
The people that you see that are qualified, what salary range are they wanting?
Well, I'd have to review that. It has been a while since I've even had a qualified applicant apply.
Okay. And how long has this new job description that was written, how long has that been posted?
It still needs to be updated on the website. And
So it's not even posted.
correct.
okay, so you gotta get that done, updated. With that salary that the salary study has created and see if we can hire.
Yes, sir.
I
So-
guess that's a step that needs to be taken, so we know whether that number works or not.
Yes, sir.
So of the positions, Dan, which one do you need the most?
I would go with the IT analyst position, two. Basically, I'm trying to create a tier layer where we can bring in new people that don't have as much experience. So we can, get them trained because, like I said, I'm having issues filling in the top tier.
So the analyst 2 is the one you need the most.
Yes, please.
So Dana,
You
if
said-
you've got one approved position already, if you advertise for both positions. And then you got this second tier. Would that be better than? If you had to give, if you don't have someone fill that, one, filled it with the second position. And waited to next year, got the new position, is that an option? Is that a plan, or is that just not helping you at all? Getting that, even if you can't get the top guy, if you can get use that money and hire your second guy, are you better off?
If that's an option, we can definitely explore that, but I don't want to lose the current open position. That position and duties needs to be filled.
So that's where I've always had the problem, Dan, so.
Yeah, because it's not
in the
filled.
past years, yeah, so we hadn't filled it, so, and for me. Giving you two positions is not even an option on my end. Because you didn't have the one filled.
Right.
Now, and that's why I asked of the two positions, which do you need the most?
Yeah.
And if you need the top end person, or do you need somebody on the bottom end to take some of the load off of y'all on all the little small stuff? I'm looking for some help here, trying to understand.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat you're
Yeah.
in.
I mean,
have a hard
we
time,
want to help,
Right.
have a hard time wanting to give you another position because I've never seen this one filled,
Yes, sir.
but what is it gonna take on that position that's unfilled? Is it
Fill it.
money? Is that the problem? I mean, you need more money in there? What is the issue?
Well, right now, it's the current applicant pool that's coming in. No one's applying.
But our problem is the applicant pool that's applying is based on a job description that's not current And the salary, that's not current, right?
Well, technically, the current post, the title changed, and I'm going to add the salary information to the posting.
Okay.
It's just currently not there, but the duties and responsibilities is pretty much the same.
I'm gonna take
Okay,
up.
so the
I'm gonna
job
do it.
description is up there.
Yeah,
There's
help
no
him might have
salary
time.
posted. Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't disagree, yeah.
I was
Yeah.
taking up for you, Dan. I said, if you had some help, you probably have time to do all the changes that we're
Yeah,
asking you
and
to
that's,
do.
that's where we're going, it's,
You know.
where do you need the most help? You need it on the bottom or the top?
I think we need both, and that's what I'm saying. I'm kind of with Ronnie on that one. The one you have open.
Yes, sir.
If we find out, I would recommend posting it without a salary. I wouldn't put a salary on it when you posted it. I just post the position.
That's how it's currently posted.
Okay, and see who comes in and find out what their number is and deal with that one. But I think we need somebody. I'm gonna use the term help desk person. We need that person that can answer the phone, like you say, reset a password, go through some trials with them and say, hey, I got 5 minutes, let's do this real quick. All right, this is out of my pay zone. I'm gonna kick it up the food chain. Or thank you, it's fixed, go on to the next thing. So I'm like that. Let's get you a 2 guy, find out what that cost is. And then get a help desk person that you can grow into this other person that you want. So I've done for 30 years, brought help desk people, and now they're IT directors. They just start there, they're nerdy people anyway, and just the more you give them, the more it's kind of like you. I'm sure there's bigger, but it's just great stuff, and they just love it. And the more they're exposed to, they grow into it, So the idea somebody's going to walk in off the street and fill your number 2 position at the current salary. We know that's not going to happen. So let's find out what that salary is. And that gives you a number, one of the guys you're looking for. And then the help desk. Then we come back next year and try for another guy based on.
What title does Jason have? Where's he at?
He is IT analyst.
Analyst?
Correct.
Yeah.
So currently we have IT analyst, system admin, which kind of is renamed to network admin. Like I said, the job description and duties is the same. It's just a title change, trying to get more applicants to be able to apply. Even with the title change, it's still primarily going to be a system analyst. So the network administrator. Network administrator is not truly a good fit for that position. They will be doing some network, but we're kind of a jack of all trade. We can't have someone that's 100% specialized in networking. We just can't do it. And then we have my position. So basically, I do a lot of after hours, server work, stuff. I work all weekend on migrating some videos and.
Well, and that's why I asked, where do you need the most help at, I mean, if we need to take this position that you've got and add some more money to it to bring it up or, I mean,
we could fix the one you got if you tell us what we need to do to fix it.
I don't really.
Recommendation, post the salary. My boss didn't want to post salaries. I didn't get any applicants. When I put a salary in the application, I'm getting some applicants. I'm telling you, you gotta post a salary these days.
You just gotta know what that salary is to post.
Well, he's got a salary. He's got a range and.
Yeah, we have a range and I'll double check on the median, which it would be.
I publish the range. It helps. I get more applicants that way.
But that one's a 476.
well, we ain't trying to put you on the spot. I just
Right.
know how to help.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get the department to be able to provide better service. I'm trying to make sure that everything's covered if the event that one of the 2 IT personnel is not here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I need my top tier position, which I'm having trouble filling. I'd like to add lower positions, which would be easier to fill, that we can get people trained up on, and then hopefully elevate them up. So.
So.
All right, so what do we
how
need to do to
how
fix
far is
this?
it between the position you got now and this 88,000?
12,000.
Yeah, one option is that
Base
if he
salary.
advertises his position he needs the most, his top position, advertises it with his range, then that range is broad. Then when he gets his applicants, he can come back and ask for money out of contingency, and court can decide if they're willing to pay it. He also, if he gets some good applicants for the position he's asking for here, then he also can come back and say, I've advertised, I've got positions that fit the position I asked for budget. Court can make a decision on what they need to do out of contingency if they have to. But get them out there and see who shows up for each of these two positions, and then let him bring that information back to court. And it may be that having a really good person in that second position is a really good option if you can't get somebody in that top position. And train them up.
Yeah. I don't disagree with any of that, but how much money is that gonna take to get us there?
It sounds like we don't know until we advertise the rate.
Okay.
I mean, if you have the range going from 1,000 to 4,000 and your applicants come in wanting 3,000, but you've only got 2,000 budgeted, he can bring that back to court.
Well, if you advertise the range and the people that want more than that top range, you're not gonna get them to apply anyway.
Correct, right.
Yeah.
But that top range is probably a good 10,000 more than what we're advertising.
Let me clarify, when we post our range, we do the
14,000.
market rate. We
14.
never advertise
It's like
above the market rate because you haven't given us the money.
We're good, but
That's right.
Yeah.
It's 62,
with your-
855 and 76.
The upper level tier, if we can't fill that one,
Amy's office.
and you can tell me you don't want to answer it right now.
Medical
or
examiner's
whatever,
office.
but, I mean, you have a number two guy. How come he's not the number two guy? How come that doesn't? And we fill his level at that skill level. I mean, we're hunting all over the world to find somebody. We got some,
Certifications and experience,
well, he's got experience. He's been there.
but not
Decade.
in the areas that Dan's needing experience.
Yeah,
And it's cool if you don't go details. I'm fine with that. But I mean, I think that's a legit question. You got a guy been there a decade, you're a number one guy, you're looking for a two guy. You guy who's been there a decade, is he at his level? And you're cool with that, then I'm cool with it. I'm good with that. I don't want to get into too much stuff here and everything, but it's a question I think I should ask. So
well, it's one I would like to answer offline.
that's fine. Okay.
But it always boils down to education, experience in certain areas and certifications.
Right. And that always adds up to money that we generally can afford to pay. But we put somebody in position, throw them into it. A lot of times, that's what these guys you're hiring, that's what we're gonna do with all of them, is put them in a spot and throw them into it.
I tend to put experience way over certifications any day.
Yes.
That's kind of me, certifications are nice and it's a bonus, but the experience means way more to me than a piece of paper.
Good morning.
That's y'all's
Just want to
attention.
throw that out there.
All right, so the direction we're giving him is,
We didn't give him much.
I was gonna say, we're gonna post position with a range.
Okay, the question is what range? Based to midpoint,
That's what I would do, based to market,
based to market,
because we can't go over market.
unless they
Unless they
tell you
approve
you
it.
can.
And if they come in a couple thousand over market, come back to us. If they're dead set on, I need $2,000 more, come back to us. We'll find $2,000.
And are we advertising anywhere than just on our site?
It previously it has, I'll have to get started and double check. We're planning on advertising with TAC, because that'll go out to other counties and then be, hopefully give us some personnel that have government experience, but not Walker County experience. And for a short while, it was posted on Indeed or one of the online, I don't think it's.
Yeah, that'd be good. Okay.
All right, I guess we didn't help you a lot, huh?
It's a tough one, yeah,
It's tough, Dan.
yeah, that's a tough one.
Any
Dan,
other
what-
questions on the positions?
Not the position, well, unless the rest of them do. I'd like you to elaborate on the Laserfish license a little bit too. We had some questions about it.
Sure. I didn't bring any of my documentation with me.
Well, that's, just explain it to us.
Um,
I mean, you're needing another $55,000 a year.
page 37.
The county document makes. We've had funds available for the upgrade. So the upgrade portion is covered, but with that upgrade, they changed the licensing over to a subscription-based licensing. So the cost of that's going to increase that we don't have any funds budgeted for, not enough funds budgeted for. So that's what this request is, to cover what the Walker County currently has in the number of licenses. I need to do a deep dive with the departments to get a feel of how they actually utilize Laserfish, if they need to continue that. But as a starting point, just to, if we had to upgrade and keep the exact same number of licenses, this is what we would need. And so in December 2026, the current version is going to be end of life, into support, end of updates, security updates. So we have to move either this budget year or next budget year at the latest. So that's why I wanted to bring that to y'all's attention.
Yeah, that's pretty important.
Yep.
So we have time, and that's like our conversation when I visited with you about it too.
Right.
Find out what's out. I mean, like I say, Quentin mentioned his folks are moving away from Laserfish to something else.
And elections is also moving. Of course, I'll have to double check with them. So the overall numbers may be going down, but just to give you a snapshot of what we currently have, this is the cost. I'm gonna probe other agencies to see what they utilize. But then you also have to take into account the transition and what that's going to do for the departments that heavily utilize Laserfish. They're gonna have to get retrained. It's gonna, it's gonna change their work processes. So that's just something we got to keep in mind as well. So I'm going to do a deep dive with all the departments, see how much they utilize it, see if they're interested in staying or if they want to explore other options. That's going to be my first next step.
Well, that's all the questions I got. Well, more Dan, appreciate your time unless they got more for you over there.
No, I think I'm good.
That's good. You got anything you want to add at the end?
Not at the moment. I just appreciate y'all's consideration.
All right, thanks, Dan.
Thanks for
I
coming
try to
down,
keep
Dan.
it everything cheap and I do what I can, but sometimes we gotta
Well,
increase.
Everything's going
I
up.
totally understand. Appreciate you coming.
Thank
Thanks.
y'all.
Okay.
You want us to go down to the sheriff?
Yeah. Can we skip down to the sheriff right quick?
We certainly can. You're the boss.
He didn't run off.
I disagree with you on that, because we ain't the boss.
I'm the boss.
Down over here, I'll sling stuff everywhere. That mean that little thing never get along.
Our request by the sheriff are the addition of patrol officers. Software that software purchased 5 years ago included 5 years of maintenance. We're going into the 6th year. And this will be the annual cost of that maintenance. The citation support is, this is one of our ARP purchases. And so this is the annual maintenance on that. Net motion, increase on the subscriptions. Vehicle replacements and, a canine, patrol. So, Tim, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, I'm not sure how your books are looking. I do have to stand up. I'm not. When this stuff, but. I did some of the figures I will give you, and then I'll open you up to questions is that. Basically, right now, we have 21 patrol deputies. That's counting sergeants, working sergeants. I have one lieutenant that's an admin. He still takes calls and stuff. You're looking at UPD. UPD has 30 patrol officers. Look at Huntsville PD, they have 34 patrol officers in there. You know, last year, we took 24,901 calls. What we had last year. The reason I've asked for 4 is to get the numbers up, but the way our shifts, we have 4 shifts. An A and B day shift, A and B night shift. 4 people would put me another boot on every shift. How we've come about that. So, you know, I don't know where in your book or, but I'll be happy to like sort of answer any of those questions. As far as that's how it came about, just trying to get our numbers up, as far as asking for the 4, and that would put 1 boot on each shift.
146 is the backup.
Yeah, like at nighttime, Tim and Sheriff, y'all, I mean, there's times we don't have very many officers on the street.
That's correct.
And that needs to be a little better than what we got, right? I mean.
Yep. Well, trying to cover for sick time, trying to cover for school. You know, I had some that had to get off early because we have a school going on right now in our training room today and tomorrow. You know, some are having to work all night long, get off at 6 and then turn around and be at school at 8 o'clock. I mean, that's a long day. A long day. So yes, sir, there are times that our numbers are very scary.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you that I know that myself, there's a lot of nights that I don't sleep thinking about what's out there. So
Yeah, and
The grant that's coming forth, I believe we sent a letter, you sent a letter to Clint, can you, where is that gonna play in?
the grant.
House Bill 22?
House Bill
About Senate
22.
Bill 22.
Senate Bill 20.
That's, I went to school last week.
Jump in real quick.
Yeah. That
You
out there.
You need to, first of all, that's way down the road. Secondly, you can't change the budget because of it.
Yeah.
So this is me talking as your legal advisor here. So don't be thinking you can reduce the budget because of it.
thank you, Quentin.
Yeah, and like I said, that was talk. I was in school last week, a big talk, and basically everything that he just said was got shoved back out.
Don't get your hopes up.
Yeah, well, this is something I even brought up in a committee I was on with Patricia is, could we build this, Patricia, a little bit with that ARP funding that we got left? Where we don't have to pull so much out of the tax rate if we choose to fund some of these officers.
The ARP funds has to be obligated by the end of 2024 and spent by the end of 2026. But if you're asking, can it be spent out of projects that were out of project money, the answer is yes.
Yeah, like the 5 million we still got sitting out there.
Right.
So, for
yeah.
example, if you, let's say you made the decision, you want to fund this, but you want to build it into the tax rate over 2 years, you definitely could take that second. You could fund part of that from the projects and then next year build the other half in the tax rate.
Yeah.
Or if you want to do it over 3 years, you could fund a third of it this year out of the tax rate. Next year, you would have a third built in and the next year, third. So yes, you could. The challenge with doing that is that this probably is not the total amount of officers he needs. So the more you can fund out of the current year, then that gives you a
Right.
better option of funding additional next year. But the answer is yes, you can build it into the tax rate over a several year period.
Well, maybe I misunderstood, but the 5 million that's sitting, that we have in an account right now, or wherever you got it sitting.
Yeah.
Hasn't it been taken out from under the ARP?
Yeah, there's no expiration.
No, and no, the money I'm talking about is outside of
Okay,
ARP funds really are almost all spent, except we do have money outside of ARP that we can do this.
okay, that's why I was
Yes, absolutely.
making sure I understood what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah. I think this is probably one of my higher priority things here is this increase to our work. It's obvious that we need more.
It's very obvious, and I can tell you, just touching on that topic. Being chief, of course, go back all the way into the late eighties, worked at the sheriff's office, and a busy year for us in the eighties and early nineties was 10 to 12,000 calls a year.
Yeah.
Now we're running somewhere between, and don't hold me to this, but somewhere between 30 and 40,000 calls a year, maybe 25 to 40,000, depending on the year. And we're working with very few members more than what we dealt with back then.
Yeah, Sheriff, y'all getting old, man.
I know.
Y'all.
Feel that way.
All right.
I remember y'all out there in the
Yes, sir.
80s and 90s.
I mean, this one's got my support. We just gotta figure out a way to make it work. I think that's where I'm at with it.
Well, I mean,
I like paying it out over the 2 years.
Yeah. some kind of way building it into the tax rate over a couple of years or whatever. But I mean, the need's there. I mean, everybody should know the need's there. We've had the need for a long time. It didn't just show up yesterday, but but
And when will we have another a printout of the actual official ARPA stuff? I mean, I know we backed off of like Butch's building. We backed off of that one. Then there's a
It
couple
was
others.
in the last budget amendment, but you'll see it again next meeting on
Okay.
the July.
or as far as vehicles and stuff for these officers, do you need, I've looked at your stuff, but it's been a while.
Yeah. He's
Well,
asking for 6 replacements.
That is a request that I've also put in. Far as the new positions, I'm gonna try to maintain. I'm not asking for a vehicle per se to be added. I'm gonna try to keep on the road what I have. I walked in this morning and just found out a transmission fell out of one last night, so I'm down. I am asking for the 6 cars and just so you know, I can talk. Right now, I have 10 vehicles that are down for mechanical reasons. Either they're extremely high mileage. Here's one with 192,480 miles. Either they're so high mileage and the cost of fixing it is not, the car's not worth what it's gonna take to fix. But I have 10 vehicles that are parked, just right now can't drive. I've got 7 vehicles that we're using that with the lowest being 113,000 miles. Here's 124,891. 133,000. So yes, sir, I have asked for 6 replacement vehicles to try to keep. Y'all are well aware of how we got log jammed and it's backed everything up and. But yes, sir, I am asking for 3 of the marked Chevy Tahoes and again, my unmarked detective vehicles, again, high mileage. I'm asking for 3 unmarked vehicles this year.
How many do you have that haven't been delivered from last year?
I have,
And the year before.
I actually have 4 vehicles sitting at the shop right now. They're trying to get equipment for. I've got 2 that are trucks that we ordered last year, but we missed the window to order them because it was the window to order them was in June. Our budget's weren't until, I don't know, October. So those haven't even been ordered yet because I've been told the window hadn't opened up. So theoretically, I have 2 vehicles in the cloud. I sound like an IT guy. They're in the cloud. So right now there's some at the shop and 2 that are still waiting to be ordered. So that's 6 right there.
And that's what you come back to court. We had to up the amount on because the original quote was for less than what they were when we ordered, right?
Yes, that's what's sitting down. Some of them are sitting down at the shop right now and they're trying to get equipment on those. But like I said, even with those, that will help the 10 that I have down right now. But I still got 7 that are so high mileage is it that we're trying to
But
slow
yeah.
down to play catch up.
By the time you rotate them out, there'll be a couple
But
hundred.
I'm hoping, like I said, hoping if fortunate enough to get any positions that you allow me to keep an extra car on my fleet. So we can use one of the older cars as it. So I'm not asking for a person and a vehicle.
Yeah.
I'm just asking to keep it on so my inventory can go up.
So the 4 you talked about, they're just waiting to be outfitted, and the 2 that are in the cloud, is that all you have outstanding that we've
Yes, sir.
approved that
That's
are
it.
not here yet?
That is it.
Okay, okay,
There's no.
Basically, still you down.
Still year down.
yeah, okay.
Still a year back. Just so you know, like I said, last year, drove, traveled 658,888 miles. How many, and we run monthly mileage reports, and that's the total of patrol division, how many miles they ran last year. So, the other thing, I'm not sure where in your book is, so. The Mark 43, that's our records management system. That's where we do all of our incident offense reports. That's what we plan out. That was a 5-year grant that we got to fund it. Welcome to coming up to year number 6.
There you go.
And that's where we've gotten with that. The Tyler software is the ARC money again. That's the ongoing costs from electronic ticket writers. If we don't get it, then the ticket writers are no good.
Can we pay that out of ARPA? Can we pay a renewal out of ARPA? On that one?
But it's
It's an ongoing call.
I know it's ongoing, but if we can do it this year, next year out of ARPA, that'd be allocated and then carried over.
Yeah.
I don't know why we couldn't do that one. Out of ARPA.
The Smart 43, the 60,000, how many years is that? How much is that?
That's an annual fee that we're now gonna be required to pay, where the grant paid for 5 years. And the grant went away.
Bill, the ongoing expenses ain't going away, roll it in.
Well, they're not, but if we can, that's 10,000 we can spend someplace
I
else.
understand, but in 2 years, you're gonna need the 10.
I'll be right back, sure. Yeah.
Don't kick it too far down the road.
You know, like I said, the Tyler software, talked about that, the net motion, that's for the computers, the increase of $782. I don't have it anywhere in my budget, that's why I'm putting it in there.
Tim, on the electronic citations and ticket writers.
Yes, sir.
At the 98, is that for all of them, the ones that are in constables too?
Yes, I
That's
believe
included.
so. They told me to run it all under one, and in that they break it out at the auditor's department.
Okay.
Yeah, our
So-
latest quote on that is about 10,200. So rather than the 98, it'll be 10,200.
So instead of the ones, not all constables got them, but the ones that did, that would include here, so they're not gonna turn around and ask you. Thing.
Yeah, how have they worked out for y'all? They've been good?
They've been good, but they're still working on the court side for the actual citation to be on the city courts side.
Work in progress.
Process.
Moving forward, the deputies love them. You can scan stuff. It's faster, auto fill warnings and stuff, but the actual submission citations. Tyler's still working with the JP Odyssey and get into a lot of IT gooey stuff that I don't understand.
They did
They're not integrated.
they did a massive update of Odyssey to a new program called Navigator. So they're having to redo some of the code because of this upgrade. So that slowed things down.
Okay.
But again, the replacement vehicles, they're never going away, guys.
But they're every year. We know that. Every year
Just
is what it is.
Yeah.
one of the things that we've asked for, we did away years ago, retired, should say is the official term, didn't do away, retired the K-9 program. But we kind of wanted to get back into the program again. What we're asking for is a dual K-9. When I say dual, it's for narcotics trafficking or narcotics detection as well as tracking, human tracking. Now, when I say tracking, the best way I can describe it is it's not a marathon runner. A bloodhound is a marathon runner. He'll go out there, run marathons for hours and hours. these dual purpose dogs are short sprints. I mean, like someone jumps out of the car, right away, a dog, 20, 30 minutes track. And that's the problem that we've been having is having bailouts on the freeway. Getting a car chase, stolen car, whatever the case may be. If we had something right then that we could deploy within the 20 minutes, because generally we all know, and that's why you've been there, they're not far in the woods.
They're there.
They're not leaving. But if we have to wait, it's hours before we can get TDC dogs. And then again, we've gotten really away from the crew of what we used to run pack dogs, because in order to do that, I have to close the freeway. There's wrecks, there's multitude. So we are asking with what we did last year is thrown around, but we called them out. Basically my interdiction officer and everything used them, I believe 17 times. He called other counties around us for assistance with canines or in county. Within that time, he called me, there was about, I believe 9 or 10 times he called that he couldn't get anybody.
Yeah.
Because we also run into illegal and Quentin can tell you about holding a vehicle. You can't just hold a vehicle on the side of the road for extended periods. And the law gets fuzzy. It doesn't give you an actual time clock. But a lot of it gets into opinion basis. What's a long time?
Yeah.
And the mitigating factors of that. So the only thing we're asking for, and we did do some research and I looked at some of these programs that Canine for Cops. Oh, look at Canine for Cops. Great program. Don't get me wrong. They take rescue animals. Some experienced people that I value their opinions that have worked canines and service dogs, that if you go that route, probably a great program for a lot of places, but I would recommend if you had to go that way, don't get in a canine program. The company we look at, Montgomery County's been purchasing dogs from there for a long time. There's a working relationship, because they all have to come together and train. They're all trained basically similar. When we retired our dog, the ongoing money for maintenance and everything stayed in our budget. So I'm not asking for that. I'm just asking for the money to purchase a canine. And,
It was a good program before. I mean, I was really impressed with that dog.
The ongoing money's already in place.
And the one before was just a drug dog.
The 2 dogs that we've had before, and we've had 2, have been strictly only narcotics. A good patrol dog, a service patrol, you can send them in buildings. Unfortunately, they can take the brunt of some bad stuff that, now there's factors you have to make sure no one else is in there, suspect and that. But we've gone the route 2 times of just narcotics. The heat's there, but there's many a time that just the presence of a cage service working dog can stop a lot of problems. Where we've had a golden retriever that was a narcotics dog that was, it's gonna lick you to death.
Dang right, yeah.
You bring that dog out at a disturbance or, a big fight or something, and everyone's like.
Yeah, right.
But, like I said, this is the route that,
Yeah.
And I will tell y'all, I'm not gonna hide anything back. You're talking about a bite dog that you send him and bites, and so, there is a little bit of liability, but.
Our criminal.
Only Quentin lets him get away.
But, but like I said, it all full disclosure up here to y'all.
Well, I just tell you,
it's
it's better for him to bite than an officer to get hurt.
Right.
That's the whole fact.
That's the way I look at it.
So that's kind of what,
I don't either.
in a short. Any questions, I'd be happy.
I got one question.
Yes, sir.
We always try to keep everything local. We've got a local company here. Why go out of state versus? not local?
Because this company that I know has been supplying dogs and they have a track record with Montgomery County. Their K9, their chief deputy I talked to, they've had very good luck with all theirs. They've also provided some with Houston. This is the same region. K9 handlers have a little region around here and they have to train every week. They're all trained the same. The dogs come from the same place and they've got a good track record.
And that was my next question. How much traveling we're gonna have to travel to Indiana? Or-
One time, what's in there? Let me look. Basically, it will include everything on the back up here, and I'm not gonna bore you with every detail, but it will go to a school, premise, stay on site. So he has to go one time.
Yeah.
And all the other training's done locally, like I said, through
Okay.
the co-op with the sheriff's office, Houston PD, even our old narcotics dogs did that. Once a week they'd have training set up at Splendor, New Caney, Houston, Willis. They've gone to Petsco one time and trained in there, so all that's just here locally. There's no more out of state. What's the initial training?
And doing that too, there's a lot of resources that are established. If we've got an operation going on where we're looking at hitting several different facilities or different addresses at one time. We establish a lot of those resources where other agencies will send their dog up. They've been trained just like ours. And we can, like I said, we can hit several places and know the officers and what the dogs are trained like. Everything.
I don't really have any questions, but I got a comment for y'all. I always got a comment. Adding the livestock officer was a A+ for a home run for y'all.
I agree.
Because we wear him out probably, but we just call him direct.
Yeah.
Anybody find my notes here, because I wanted to, actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because I wanted to say something on that,
The number of calls.
this one.
Yeah, we don't go through dispatch. We just call Chase.
Last year, the livestock deputy handled a total of 1,596 calls. He handled 306 just a stray calls, 477 other animal complaint calls from everything, 78 animal bites, 71 animal abuse calls, 367 speak with officer livestock problem, like I said, for almost 1,600 calls.
How was his license plate registration?
Gate sign thing?
Yeah,
I was gonna ask that. The gate sign number?
how's that work?
I didn't pull the numbers on it. I know that some people really love it, proactive, and yeah, let me get back with you, but yeah, so we're trying to move through.
I just haven't heard on that one, so.
He's getting and been doing it for a while, and fortunate he has a livestock background that he knows, which is a major hurdle. And a lot of people, you can call him and tell him, hey, I'm over here at such road, and he's already
Know who it is.
right off the bat.
If you don't, he knows who to call.
I want him out this weekend.
But I will tell you that, like I said, I brought that because it's been a huge help. It's been a huge help to fix the problem, and he's gone out on his own and helped some people build fence. I'm not gonna lie, he's gone out, to fix the problem so that deputies aren't coming back over and over and over with the same problem.
Okay.
It's been good, is what I'm telling you.
It has been.
It's been good.
I've got a lot of positive feedback on it.
So we even called him on an abandoned tractor. So we don't hold it just to cows.
There you go.
Harbor Ranch related.
I said, take care of it, and he took care of it.
Sorry. Well, thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for coming, Sheriff, Tim.
Alan, thank you.
Always.
All right, I'll run to the bathroom real quick so we can break, or y'all keep going, but
And you're gonna break anyway.
I'm taking you.
Go right ahead.
Listen to the rest while I'm gone.
I'll take care of it while you out there.
All right, Commissioner Precinct 3.
Denied.
Denied.
Oh, no, we're really back up here. Oh,
Court of law.
we have somebody else.
That's it.
I don't believe.
All right, so we're back up at court at law is where we are now. Two requests related to salary increases. replacement computers and a portable workstation, which is laptop or iPad. Central courts, on our court appointed attorneys, we are going to be over this year. This is a request to increase that budget for next year. If not that full amount, at least.
Ms. Patricia,
Report it.
on the salary increases, are they? So if, are they happy with the 5%?
No.
If 5%, is this on top of the 5% we're talking
They're
about?
asking for it on top,
These
then.
are reclassification requests that court referred to the committee.
Okay. And we're waiting to hear back from the committee.
The committee hasn't met.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Amy's still in the planning stages
All
on
right.
that.
Just
And can I stop you before we go any further?
Yes, you can.
When we talk about one-time costs, we spend a lot of that with either carry forward monies or, you know, you said we're gonna have about $2 million extra this year. You had 3 different line items. One was interest, one was, sales taxes up, interest and new growth was got us to. What kind of monies is historically we had for carry forward monies that can be used for the one-time expense?
We usually aim at about the 800,000 range.
800?
Mhm.
Okay.
And where that money comes from is revenues over budgeted revenues in the prior year and expenditures under budget for the prior year. And we're normally in the 800,000 to $1 million. Target is 800,000, and if you go over a little bit, it's generally fine. Okay, and then professional services hired in 7,500 in that area. 12th judicial, the salary increases for the court coordinator, court administrator, same as the 12th and the 278th, and the court at law all are asking for the same increases. Office supply increase, TV for the jury room, furniture for the visiting judges, 278.
Can I weigh in real quick? We may need some. The judges have asked for another television to be added to the jury room. The purpose of that is to. When the jury requests to review a video file, they can watch it there in the jury room. I think we may need IT's help on this. I'm something of an IT person for our office. Video files. Court of Appeals has defined what the minimum requirement is so that when a case gets appealed up, that video file can go to their offices and whatever the location is and play that video file. And so our office is desperately trying to accommodate the Court of Appeals. And so there's this thing called codex, which is part of how a file is interpreted and read. And televisions are manufactured with a preset amount of code. You cannot do anything about that. A computer, on the other hand, can have them updated and new ones installed. And so we may want to ask IT to weigh in on this question. It may be that what they really need is a monitor with an attached computer that can be updated to handle the various codices. That's, we run into that problem where we've got a file that's appellate court appropriate and it won't play on the TV in the jury room. And that's, I don't believe that's a thing. I don't think that's the solution. I think the solution may be something other than an actual television. Or it could be a television, but it's gotta have a computer.
got to be able to run it, monitor.
And so I would like for the, you know, and I know the judges are varying levels of technological skill, and I know they have an opinion on that. Mine is not in line with theirs, and I'd like to see.
Yeah.
Maybe IT weighing on this.
I've got about 10 requests that I've highlighted that could probably be done in this year's budget. And that's one of them. Why would we?
Yeah, I agree with you. And one of the things I was going to, last year, pretty much anything that was
Like
under 3,000 to 5,000. Court asked those to, once you gave it your nod, you asked that those be addressed in the current year versus bring those forward in the budget.
So I would, barring an objection, I would ask Quentin to get that ball rolling,
Talk to IT.
talk to IT and bring it.
Right, and I think the request was made by the district judges, they need to be involved in this.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I know one
I
of
went to the IT guy.
One of the district judges will adamantly tell you he doesn't know anything about technology. The other one is maybe not as, he's also a little hesitant on it, and so. But I mean, I don't want to see us spend $1,300 on the television and run the same problem.
Yeah.
All right.
District clerk, this is an ongoing increase in some software in that office. District attorney's office, Quentin's here. The first request was to be able to keep the victim assistance coordinator. There was some question on whether or not that grant would be renewed this year, and I think your latest communication.
Yeah, I mean, they're terribly slow at giving us an answer. I know it's often Austin now with the HGAC, you had this grant for you. There is a point at which grants roll, initially apply, you're in tier 2. And then once it's granted, you move to tier 1 and you stay there for a certain number of years, which pretty much means if they've got the money, you're getting the job, you're getting it back again. I think this is our last year in tier 1. I think we've got a good chance to get this grant. We probably won't hear it till much later in the budget process. And if we get it, then it's a zero match. Again, this is part of the result of COVID, so it won't cost you a dime. If in fact we do get bumped and we don't get it, which I think is a real possibility next year, this is a position that we desperately need, and we've had it for years now. But right now, as Virginia said, I think I don't want to jinx it, but I think we're in good shape right now.
Okay.
And Quentin, you want to speak to your request?
Yeah, I'll make this brief. This actually could help us on some of our video files too. So there's a Axon, they're a camera company, law enforcement camera company. They purchased a program called evidence.com, which is what law enforcement can use to gather all of their evidence. They put it into evidence.com and then they can push it out to prosecutors' offices. One of the local law enforcement agencies here, they actually have a subscribing to evidence.com, and as a result of their subscription, they've given us a free portal. And so they are now currently shipping all of their evidence to us. Digital photographs, documents, any and everything is coming to us from them in a free portal that we're using. And what we can do with that is we can see it whenever we download it. That's about the extent of what we can do with it. What Justice Premier is, this is also from Axon. This is the prosecutor version of this. And what it would allow us to do is receive that same information from the police department that we currently get, but we actually would have full control over it. And we'd be able to have free portals created for the sheriff's office, UPD, and DPS, so that they would also be able to push their evidence to us in a digital format, both media files, any and all evidence that they have would be pushed to us. We'd be able to collect it all in one place. Currently, we receive intake in 3 different ways. And even our sheriff's office, which is currently sharing it with us digitally, they're sharing it with us through a special virtual drive that our IT department manages for us. So it's going to free up all kinds of server space and all of that. But this would get us all of our evidence coming in a single way. Once we have it, we now have complete control over it. We can do everything we need to, even sort of point of us being able to push it out to the defense attorneys as discovery. Currently, we push discovery out in 2 different ways. partly through the Odyssey portal and partly through actually burning discs. And we'll be able to get away from burning discs. We won't have to print copies. Basically, we'll be able to send them a link and say, here, your discovery is ready, go get it. And we can track what they're doing with it. They're seeing it, they're opening it or whatever. So the program would take over both our intake and our discovery, but it also would allow it to move through the office in a seamless manner. Like, if I walked you through it, it would take me about 20 minutes on how many people in my office have to handle a single case as it moves through the office. Now it would all be in one place at all times, easier to manage, much more efficient, and should be time saver. It also should be a little cost savings in terms of supplies, burning discs. I know our disc burners are all about to be replaced or need to be replaced. They're all breaking down. Things like that will go away. And I do know that, like for instance, in Montgomery County, different county altogether, but they've been using this now for a number of years, and they now have 28 of their 32 law enforcement agencies are using it to get information to them. And that's how they're managing. And I talked with the assistant DA down there, Darla Faulkner is the one that was that, and they swear by it. So we feel like this is going to be a much more efficient use of our time. And that's basically what that is. And you'll notice that the sheriff's office didn't ask you for any money for evidence.com. They won't need it. We'll be able to give them, as part of our subscription, a free portal, so that they'll just simply be able to share it with us that way, as opposed to using the server.
Okay. JP3, request for replacement office printer.
This was another one I had marked for if they can find it out of their budget this year to tell them to move forward on, just buy that one, get it.
Here, we've gone through Constable Central, a request for the addition of a part-time office assistant. This is currently a one-person office, and asking for a position so that there can be at all times, and then someone that is trained in this much.
So I was under the impression that Ms. Buck that works at precinct 4 was also trained to do that position.
Oh, I don't know.
She is. I'm just letting court know that, throwing it out there. She come down and did training with Phyllis, and she can, if Phyllis is out, she can fill in if JP's not too busy.
Constable Precinct 1 requesting a deputy, and then of course the one-time items associated with that position. Constable Precinct 2 operations increase for fuel, uniforms, and training.
Yeah.
And then a handgun.
And the next two were ones that I had marked. Let me ask y'all a question, man. There's only like, what is it, like 10 or that are like 4,000 or less. I was looking at it because one is 3,600. One is like 4,000 or less. I think actually what we did last year was like, hey, if you have a request, it's $4,000 or less. You have money in your budget this year, go buy it so we can get it out of here. Pay for it all you can with your internal funds, and if you need a little bit extra, then we went to a contingency and filled it. Do y'all have an objection to that? There's only like a grand total of 10 that are below that.
I don't have a heartburn with it, but what I don't want to do is put them in a bind insurance budget. Because they still got a time frame. They got to make it to the end of the year.
Right, and they can hold off on these purchases until they get farther down the road. You can just tell them, hey, try to make it fit in this year's budget. And if you go over a little bit, we just fill it.
The one exception might want to be AgriLife Extension. In the past, they've liked to have their money in the new budget year, so they may not want to purchase it this year.
Sure.
So that might be an exception. All right, so all right, so we've done constable 1, constable 2, constable 3, again, the under $4,000 request. Constable 4, of course, the first ones here are the continuation of the 3 officers we have now with the contracts where 70% of it is paid by New Waverly School District. There's been a request to add another constable deputy. The total salary would be 92. The county's portion, which would need to come out of the tax rate, would be roughly 28,000, and then the one-time cost. The one thing I was going to mention is that when you've got in our contracts, the way the one-time equipment is set up is they pay 1/5 every year so that there's the money there to replace it. Adding a new constable, if they don't participate in these one-time costs, it means they will be participating in the ongoing cost of replacing, but they have no buy-in on these one-time costs up front. So, and this is the first time this has really been addressed with court. So court may want to think through that, whether or not they want the county to pay all of the first one-time cost, and then the contracts only pay 1/5 for the replacement.
Let's stop before you move on.
I looked over there.
Did you follow me?
Yeah, I did, but I got, so Brandon and all's kind of what I got thinking on this is I'm definitely for putting the school down there with an officer. I don't have a problem with that. But you got another constable here asking for help. And then precinct 2 was asking for help last year. 30% of their time is spent doing other things, more than likely. That's how that 70-30 number probably come into effect.
Correct.
During that 30% of time, they need to learn to share with these other officers, other constables, some of their duties. Is what I'm looking at. We need to get all the constables in this room, is what I'm saying. And if we can't get them to where they're working together, then hey, I might have a problem with the whole situation. You know, so
yeah.
I mean, if John can't serve his papers, I don't know whether he can or not. Danny might have talked to him, but if he can't get his papers served, and Gene's got 4 officers that the county down there is paying the 30% on, they need to help.
Yeah.
And that was
And-
a very tenuous split on the
Yeah.
70-30. I mean, that's not what HPD does.
Yeah, and you know, and I don't know how much time they got away from the school. I don't know, but there evidently is some time, or they'd be paying 100%. See what I'm saying? So so I'd like to see every one of them constables sitting in this room with us.
Yeah. And Gene had called me. They have had a vacation plan for this
Yeah.
week. So he's
And I'm fine with it not
wouldn't
being
be able
today.
to be here today. So the ask for the other deputy, the 4th deputy, is because the school is wanting to do that, and now it's mandatory. You have to have an officer at each facility.
Yeah. I'm not opposed to officer being there, but what I'm having an issue with, that if John needs a little help serving his papers because he can't keep up, or precinct 2 can't because he don't have an officer to help him either,
Sure.
then how come they're not helping with these extra deputies?
Majority of the 30% is spent during the summer months.
That's what I was fixing to bring.
Well, that's kind of what I figured
Not spread
too,
out.
Quentin, but you know, but I mean, like I say, they need to learn to work together is what I'm trying to say. They can't.
That other
The
30%.
other
could be
thing
spent.
is, if this is a
Catching up.
state mandate by the schools, if they don't contract with the county, they would be paying 100% of everything.
Absolutely.
So is the 70-30 split something the court wants to agree to? And that's something Gene needs to talk about,
Right.
because this is a state mandate for the schools. So.
Yeah. Well, and you're talking about replacement vehicles, and I mean, all that stuff rolls in.
Yeah.
You know, and we milked it for a long time using old vehicles, but at some point, you're gonna have to move into new vehicles.
Yeah, your vehicles that we got, they're all over, $150,000 52,000, 143,000, you know.
Yeah, well, he's
The
asking
ones that
for-
he's asking to replace, they're,
He's asking
they're
for two this year.
high mileage. Now, the ones that we have replaced, you know, Chitwood's cars, I think 5 years old, it's got 40,000 miles in excellent shape.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing's gonna last
Yeah.
forever, but
I'm just saying we need the constable in the room.
I agree with you. I agree.
And of course, you see the other requests, the school resource officer vehicle replacement, Tahoe, and desktop computer replacement.
A taco?
Tahoe, I'm sorry.
Somebody's hungry.
It's almost like
A taco?
a Tahoe.
Oh. Oh, I thought you said taco.
I did.
My hearing's bad anyways. You can blame it.
So Patricia, going back to what Bill was saying earlier, like this $2,700, I don't know that they got that in their budget. Do we have a?
We'll have a contingency if they don't.
Yeah, and that's what we're saying. Some of them don't have this kind of money, but contingency. If there's not money in the budget to cover it, the balance of what they can't cover would be presented to court for contingency.
But there again, I'm kind of like Ronnie though. Don't spend it if you don't think you're gonna be able to make it to the end of the
No.
budget cycle.
Oh, absolutely.
We just need to pull it contingency and buy it for them.
Right, that's what it's got to look at. Can you afford it? If
Yeah.
not, then just say that. I can't help it. I need all the money. Just say it. Yeah, I agree.
And they're not shy about doing that.
They're not shy at all, are they?
And we'll ask Patricia what their budget is.
Yeah.
Okay, emergency operations, the app, the emergency operations asking, for the app. Ongoing cost 10,980, 16,000 one time. The tower rental increase, fuel increase, and the replacement copier. And, the court chooses to fund this. We have a replacement copier fund that this could be purchased from this year.
And I'm assuming they're having a lot of trouble with theirs. I mean, I guess we should ask while he was in here. I hadn't mentioned it to him.
I know they do a lot of
They
paperwork.
do,
They thousands and thousands of pages there in that shop, so.
It says that it's to replace an older copy that has issues. The copier will staple and hole punch, whereas the old one does. And the disadvantage of not funding is that the current copier would continue with, that's issues, and will have to continue punching holes manually.
Yeah.
County jail. You'll see quite a few here relating to operations cost. These budgets have been fairly static in operations for its overtime, which we identified as a potential here. In the jail budget, there's only $14,000 overtime budgeted. And in the if they work a regular shift, they have overtime because of the 12-hour shifts.
But the 123 was for that special.
Not all.
Well, this year, court added 200,000 of which, and that was to get us through, May and June. But about 125,000 of that was kind of a one-time deal because of that, juvenile. So this 123 is our best guess in an average year, what they would go through. Not having a unique situation like that. They're asking for a transport deputy, increase in the fuel, food, the jail food contract, janitorial supplies, facilities maintenance, IT subscriptions, copiers, utilities, and money for maintenance on the grease traps. And then a request for 58,000 to put closures around the TVs. I'm not sure if this would be eligible, but it appears it should be eligible out of the commissary funds. and there is money there, so they want to talk about funding those because the TVs are for the inmates, so those may very well fall under.
You're talking about the jail. You had never done anything with the plumbing. I mean, we've set nothing aside for it. That's a big project.
We do have some money set aside. We started off with about 120. We spent over half of it on
72.
engineering services and whatever. We have about 60 there, but depending on what ends up there, that probably will be a contingency fund request when that actually gets to the point where that's worked on.
They put
But we
salt
don't
in
have a
the tank
number,
and
so
start
that
working.
was not included.
I went to work.
Do what, Mr. Trish?
We don't have a number, so.
Yeah.
But so project contingency will probably be the source of those whenever we get there. County jail medical, 2,500 for supplies increase. Adult probation, security glass, carpet replacement, and office chairs. I don't think maintenance has been done in that building in many years. So this would be maintenance in that building. Again, something that would be eligible to come out of the project's contingency facility funds when and if court wants to address that. Veteran service, a case management software, $450. Planning and development. Andrew has presented staff engineer request for court to discuss. He's requested filing cabinets, increases in his copier, his air cards, vehicle repairs, GPS unit, replacement vehicle, pistols for the investigators, and replacement PCs. Litter control, vehicle repairs, ongoing cost. And then Texas AgriLife, salary increases for the agents. And the salary study that first came out in draft form, I think did not realize that the extension agents are supplements and not actual salaries of the employees. Those were taken out. And so in the salary study, these positions did not receive increases last year because they weren't part of the salary plan. The operations increases, they're listed in detail. Most of these are smaller dollar requests. In the past, there's been some discussion on whether or not they wanted to go ahead and buy them out of the current year budget, or if they actually preferred them to be in next year's budget. But like the subscription cost, that would need to be budgeted in next year, the monthly plan. So some of these definitely need to be there. And in with projectors and other equipment that they're asking for, would need some input from them on when they would like to buy it. The copier is something that could come out of the copier replacement fund.
Yeah.
And then I know you can read, so I won't read.
All right.
These two.
Yeah, they don't add up to much.
The last one I will point out, the $50,000 for the new building allotment. Several years ago, when there was an active discussion about building out there, 50,000 was set aside in the projects fund. I think this request is to add 50,000 to the 50,000 that's already there. What court did do was, rather than specifically say that building allotment was for that building, it was set up as a generic. So it would be whether you wanted to add this to the generic or to a specific one, or how the court wants to handle it.
It's gonna be a hard year to edit. I can see that already.
Well, and the other piece of that is that there is project contingency money, so when the court does get ready to address that, there is project. Going down to Road and Bridge, again, the $200,000 operations increase was up to 300,000 to help a little bit with the cost. Tracking software for Road and Bridge, and I think this cost covers all 4 precincts.
Let's talk about that just a minute. So are y'all looking at going?
Your way.
Okay.
Yeah, with your stuff. That was.
So am I getting? I bought this out of my budget.
Thank you.
Yeah. So if you're looking for me to buy it out of Road and Bridge General, you done lost one. Unless you're gonna reimburse me.
Well, no, does this not cover all 4 precincts?
It'll be available.
Yeah.
To all 4 precincts, but
See,
like I
I've
say,
done
like I
both.
say, Danny's already got it.
James Ray's got it now.
Yeah.
I bought it out of my budget.
If this is going to Road and Bridge General, then I'm just assuming it wouldn't be charged to your budget whenever it comes up. That you'd be part of this,
What if we opt out?
then it's going to Road and Bridge General. It's there if you choose to use
It's a good program. James
yeah.
has had good luck out of it.
Yeah.
He can speak for it a heck of a lot more than I can, so. I'll let him speak, but y'all know about it. Y'all visited with him, so.
Yeah. It does what, we kind of hate we're losing the one that we've got, but we've already lost our GIS piece of it. They took that away from us, and we talked about the last couple of years, they've been trying to step away from it. So we got to go somewhere if we're going to have electronic. If we're going to have, at my shop will have electronic, and I think you guys want to keep going electronic stuff, and now Danny's doing it. So if it's if it's not going to be countywide, and I see what you're saying as far as you bought your first, if it's 16,000 to buy it out of my budget and your budget, and we just
I just say buy it out of your individual budget if you want it.
Yeah,
Just leave it alone.
I'm game with that.
I mean,
Then if you want in, you're in. If you're not,
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. I'm good with that.
then the 150,000, which is the one-time transfer to each of the precincts. General fund. Road and Bridge 4 sent in 2 requests, one just to add funds from overtime and additional funds for the Road and Bridge materials.
And I
The
want,
overtime definitely can just be moved from operations up to salaries within Road and Bridge 4. That's not a problem. The additional funds, if this is a request for 200 for Road and Bridge 4 only from general fund, then that would be court.
I would have to be a no unless I was involved in getting that 200 too. So, you already know where I stand on this, right?
we knew.
Same thing rolls from Jimmy, huh?
I didn't know that, y'all were gonna ask for the 300 on the, ongoing. So,
And it's been done every year for, God, I don't know why.
Yeah, well, we went
Well,
up
it's too- Yeah.
a little bit this year simply because of the inflation's pretty hard.
we'll leave the 200 and we'll split it 4 ways if there's room for it.
You're gonna need it somewhere else, I guarantee you.
Anyway,
And then what the remaining section to go through is EMS fund. We have, the first 2 requests are changing job titles for some of the administrative staff, for the field staff, not affecting pay, job title changes only there. The next request is to, in their salary structure, they have EMS attendants, EMS in charge attendants. And a lot of it's based on job duties and a lot of it is based on skill set. She's not asking to change people, but she wants that people that 4 of her EMS attendants or 4 of her personnel that are budgeted as EMS attendants to be budgeted as EMS in charge positions, which would cost $30,000, including benefits. Adding a stipend for additional job duties, 31,200. this one, could have impacts across the county. It's kind of a new thing that's not been done, but, this one seemed, in my reading relates to classes that they're training and training roles that they're assuming within the department. 10% pay increase across the board. And then getting into the operations, I won't read each of these to you, but a detailed list of operations, areas that, she's, identified. Some of them.
Lawn care,
don't
the
have
jails
much
take
for
care
some, like when you get down to the VFIS insurance, 10,000,
Seems
we've
long,
added
yeah.
equipment,
Jails take-
we've added costs. Supply budget, 50,000, that's a very large one. And we usually do get a grant within the year for about 13 that'll help there.
Okay.
Request for an ambulance, generator, Tahoes, and then the building and the additional station.
Bill, that ambulance that she's asking for, basically, is that the one that maybe Riverside is asking
I think,
for?
no, this would be over and above the Riverside one. And I guess it's a good time to talk about our direction on the placement of a station in Riverside. Who knows what, so I just kind of throw it out there like nobody knows nothing. ESD one is wanting to place a station in Riverside. The county's done at least 2 studies on ambulance response times out there. And it definitely shows a need for an ambulance in the Riverside area. And ESD one is willing to do pretty much what ESD two did in New Waverly. Build a structure on a piece of property, maintain it. They have plans down the road at some point for maybe a duty crew in there. But we'll build the structure, maintain it, take care of it. What the request from them is, if they do that, would the county put an ambulance and a crew out there? So visiting with Rachel, the EMS director, I guess I should use by title, visiting with the EMS director. She worked a price up with all of the what fors and have nots and stuff like that. And it's plus or minus $1 million to get it up and running, to buy the ambulance, staff the people, buy all the equipment and stuff like that. So we probably need, what we do need to, as part of the budget this year, to say yes or no on that, to that ESD, so they can continue going the direction they're going or go a different direction. To me, it's a hard yes. I think we need one in Riverside, and I think we need one up in the Crabs Prairie area. We can't do them both to start off with, but we can do one. And they're up and running, been organized long enough to do it. I know ESD 3 is probably wanting to do some kind of participation out there. So my thoughts are, and Commissioner White and I've been talking about it a little bit, kind of figuring how in the heck you're going to pay for that. And the thought is to ease us into the tax rate over a couple of years also by paying, I don't know if it's all of it, but all the hard costs out of the $5 million fund that we set off to the side, and either all or a piece of the employee side of it, so that the first year is relatively painless as far as cost to the county for new revenues for a new expense. We have the money sitting over there, and then work it into the tax roll either by growth or whatever in the next couple of years. So I don't know at what point we interject that into the conversation to say yes or no, but
well, would the ESD would they consider buying an ambulance like they did in New Waverly and let us just staff it?
Well, I don't like the situation we have with ESD 2 with the ambulance in the first place. I mean, it's, to me, if we're going to be in the EMS business, we'd be in the EMS business and fund it and do it. The ambulance is coming up.
Well, it's all taxpayer dollars funding, and it's just would they?
Well, I know it is.
Assist, but
Well, I know it is, but they're like the other, everybody else. They're, they have it's a pretty small little group out there as far as income and stuff like that, and they're struggling to get caught up in this, this building.
okay. Well, I'll just ask.
It'll be $1 million building for them by the time they get done building it out there. And so I think that would be, I don't know, it's almost like, hey, build a building, buy an ambulance, and we'll put people in it is, we don't ask that of any other station area. We just like, hey, it's our responsibility as a county to provide the best EMS service that we can, and they're willing to step up and build a building that we wouldn't build and put out there. And so I don't think I would want to ask them that, especially if
It
it's
is an emergency service district, the emergency's in there.
It
Now,
is.
how it was set up, I don't know. It might have been set up strictly for fire departments, but
mostly fire.
But
Most of
well, yeah, but this emergency service district, you can contract
Yeah.
with anybody, and you want to get down to it, the ESDs ought to be paying for the ambulance cost.
We don't make, everybody in Walker County pays property taxes and as an EMS when they need it deal. So we don't ask the people in the city of Huntsville to pay for EMS ambulance
But if
calls.
you're gonna do it all, you do it all on the same page. Don't have one down there buying ambulances, and one up here.
Well,
No.
we didn't ask them to buy an ambulance.
yeah, well, they give it to us. I mean, they didn't. we
But
didn't
it's put us in a bad, it's put us in a bad spot because we don't know when that ambulance comes up to be replaced. Are they gonna buy another? I don't want them to buy another because it's,
Oh, we need to cancel that order?
well,
Using that $5 million, I won't be for. I can tell you that right now. If you can find some way to build it into the tax rate, I'm fine with it. You've gained about 100 calls a year for the last 3 years. Is what I pulled with EMS, which
Yeah.
is,
but those calls are 25-minute responses to people having heart attacks. That's 100 people that didn't get there in time.
well, that could go with a lot of stuff too, but I'll grab this and I'll let y'all look at it. I just got it last weekend. The call responses are, like you said, about 20 to 25 minutes.
Right.
And a little shorter in Dodge. And y'all want to look at that, but it's gone up. It's gone, well, you hadn't seen this one.
Well, I pulled everything in the world from them already.
Yeah.
It's gone up about, well, last year it went up about
Rachel's online.
about 40 people, 40 calls last year. You gotta take COVID out of it. So do they need an ambulance? Absolutely. But messing with that $5 million, I want people to tell you that. So if we can build it into the tax rate somehow, even over a couple of years, how long do you think they'll be able, before they've got a building built?
They're probably a year out, but let me,
A good year.
Rachel, are you there?
Just about the land.
Hey, yes, I'm here. I just want to add to that. So we've been tracking for about the past year. It's hard to do it on the dispatch side. So Anthony wasn't able to pull this information for us. So we've been tracking it with our supervisors, but we have to factor into, in addition to the response times to these more rural areas, Thomas Lake, Riverside, things like that, we have to factor in how many times per month we're hitting level 0 status, which means we have 0 ambulances available in the county to make a call. So last month, about 15 days out of the month, there was a period of time anywhere from a few minutes to a few hours where we had calls holding and we're just waiting on ambulances to clear up from the hospital so they can go on another call. So those times to wait for an ambulance are significantly longer. And those times we're also having to call, Ventura to back us up if it's in Riverside. And I don't know how much you guys know about the Trinity County situation. They don't have any ambulances out there. So we've called MCHD, we've called Grimes County, we've called Ventura to kind of help mutual aid us. So that's another factor to look at, is how many times our call volume is making it to where we don't have any ambulances available at any given time. So just food for
Provide
thought.
us with a spreadsheet that shows that.
I'm sorry?
Can you provide us with a spreadsheet that shows that?
Yes, sir. I can.
Very good information.
Yeah, thanks, Rachel.
Yes, sir.
One thing I would like to say, in looking at the kind of the 5-year, last year budget, current year budget, and looking out 3 or 4 years. And I know I've already said this, but we need 400,000 just based on what the current year budget is. And if I project out kind of a very conservative increase in the expense, And assuming that the revenues are going to grow a little bit each year, but we're seeing relatively flat revenues in EMS. We have enough fund balance because of the ARP money paying a portion of the salaries that we can get by. We need to make up the 400 we didn't fund last year. And then looking 3 to 4 years out, just to keep up with the level of service we've got right now, we'll need another 400,000. So since we're expanding into areas that we currently cover, then it's all going to have to be funded through the tax rate. So we certainly need to have a funding plan in place as we expand into these services. And we need to realize we've got tax increases just because of increased costs and relatively flat revenues over the next 5 years.
Trish, you said, and that brings up a good thing, or a good comment the other day. You said we were 200,000 down on our revenues coming in.
For this year as compared to last year, yes.
So have we figured out why?
Rachel and I have not really had any conversations on that. Of course, we can increase rates, but when you look at most of our services or most of the revenues are funded through Medicare and Medicaid, no matter what your rate is,
They're
you're
not gonna
only
pay it.
going to pay what they pay.
Right.
So you, if you're not increasing calls or you have decreasing calls, and some of it has to do with the Medicare deductibles and all of that kind of stuff. It kind of takes a while to get the revenues start coming in, but I'll get with Rachel and we'll see what we can come up with.
Okay.
And bottom line, fewer calls is not a bad thing.
No, and then it's, they went up, I mean, looking at this, it went up through COVID quite a bit and it's starting to taper back off. But I mean, obviously, we're gonna have to do something out there sooner or later anyhow.
Right.
And
Yeah, and
our means of doing it is what bothers me.
Right.
Or
And the
the-
time it takes to get there extremely.
Exactly.
Sure. Yeah, so as I said, we will have to do something out there eventually, and I feel like we'll have to do something in Crash Prairie eventually. And the ESDs in those areas right now are like, hey, we're willing to be a teammate to you. We'll do half the bill for you. We'll tote half the note. If you tell them no thanks, and then when you call them 2 years from now, they may not be in a position to do half the note again. Right now, they're like, I can speak for ESD 1. I don't know about ESD 3, but I'm assuming they're forward thinking enough to like, hey, we're watching this. We're gonna see how that works out. And maybe a couple of years later, we come down the road. And I really don't have any issues with looking at the $5 million and to get this something up. And it's like, we won't have it again. We can't look at our budget and say we need $1 million to do something that we all say that we need to do at some point. And we have the money to do it now, and it'll never be any cheaper. And it's obviously a need for it, either this year or next year or whatever. So if you did it, if it's $1 million and you've paid everybody, then the salaries drop to about, for I think it's 6 employees, 500,000 a year for 6 employees plus or minus. Well, that's a penny on the tax roll that's going to be there, that we can look at next year and say, like we're doing with the sheriff's people, like, you know what, let's take a third of that and supplement it, and maybe the growth we can fit it in, and make it work that way for the salaries after that. But I mean, there's a need there. We have the opportunity to make it happen in a group to partner with that wants to tote half the note. It's going to be hard to say, no, that's not a good deal. Let's do something else.
Yeah, well, I've said it before, that money wasn't sent down here to bank accounts. And I'm not gonna be for that at all, to leave that money in a bank account. That's not what it was sent for.
Yeah.
And it's done ruined my life away from government because of inflation, so you might as well use it. Get it gone, but
Get it gone so you can raise taxes later on, something else.
Well, it wasn't sitting out there bank account, and that's exactly what you're doing with it. You got it sitting in a bank account.
You allocate it to company.
Yeah, you allocate it and leave it sitting in a bank account. That's exactly where it's at. And that's where it's
It
gonna
ain't been
stay.
there but a year.
Yeah, but it'll stay right there for the next 10 years too.
The money was put into that account as a holding account for the county to look at its long range plans and look at what it's going to need in the future and have a plan of what you want to do with it versus just spending the money without having the broad look at what the county needs. So if the court identifies that what the county needs is a new station, and you've looked at all the other needs that you've got, or some of the other pressing needs, then that's what it's there for. But what it's not there for is just to be a big contingency fund that we draw down without analyzing what's the best use of those funds for the long term. And emergency
Emergency
service,
services
I don't think
are high on my list.
can argue
Yeah.
that is a long-term need.
Well, and it goes back, I don't know, Bill, you said a comment a while ago. I don't know that you should be speaking for the ESPN. You know, I wouldn't speak for my bunch, or I know some of Brandon.
Well, I've been there, I'm not speaking for them.
Well, that's what you said, though. You said you were speaking for them.
Well, I
You
mean,
know, if they're gonna do this, then that's something we need to have a conversation with.
right, but what we haven't done is invited them here to do it. So so the budget item is, it's a Rachel, myself and ESD discussion. I guess Sam Houston State also, hopefully, that will work something out with, well, they'll work something, the county, the state, whoever, work something out with them. I go to every one of their meetings, barring a couple here and there, just one this week on Wednesday. So I know what they're talking about, you know, so rather than drag somebody off the road or from their job to come from a volunteer job, that's not gonna, you know, that knows something different that I have, or doesn't know anything different than I know. You know, if we seriously start talking about it, and we think it's something we're going to push forward, like I hope it is, they'll be happy to come in and discuss it. I have no doubts about that, but I know enough about it to know what it's going to cost and who needs it. And I mean, I'm speaking for ESD3. I don't know them, but I feel like I know just enough to know that.
Projections of it. but-
Okay, I don't know how much. I
I've
just
heard
know
talk,
that.
but it's all talk.
There's some thought that
Yeah.
there's projections.
So it's a twinkle in the eye anyway. So, but I just think and we talk about it with the sheriff stuff, like our number one thing we provide is public safety and health and stuff like that. You know, whether we wanted to take the EMS or not, we own the EMS. And our job is,
Everybody else would take it.
yeah, exactly.
I mean,
And
it
take,
was
and
ours,
take,
And they've done a good job with, it, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, overall,
Yeah.
it's not supposed to make money, but yet.
Yeah.
It's supposed to provide a purpose, so.
yeah. So,
One other thing I want to bring up with the fire departments, we've talked for the last couple of years about the monthly payments to the volunteer fire departments, and that this would be the year that those payments would be discontinued. That will be about $70,000 that can be rolled into the available funds. So I think letters were sent out last year, so probably need to follow up with a letter and letting them know what the court actually intends to do
Yeah.
this year.
ESD1, I know they're aware. Now, I'll voice the same concern that I had before, is that ESD1, I don't know legally, I don't know, I always look at you when I say legally, Quentin, I'm sorry. Are they allowed to take ESD1 money and go into an area that's not a mutual aid area, that's outside their ESD, and perform services? I don't know if they are or not. I would guess no, because when I was looking at a county assistance district, the money raised inside that district had to be spent in that district. So we pay them that extra money to leave their district and go into the area. Sometimes the city ETJ, Acorn Hill is outside ESD1's area. It's a whole subdivision. They are not required to respond to that. It's outside their district. They're not required to respond to it. They don't have to respond to it unless they're taking money from the county. Then we say, we're giving you $1,000 a month, $600 a month to go to be for fire service assistance. To me, that says, okay, here's some money that's not ESD money. Go into these other, just like we pay City of Huntsville 250 or whatever that number is, 1,000 a year to go out and service these areas. So like I say, they know it's coming, the funding is going away, but as far as I've said, I've talked to them about it. Tell the people outside the ESD zone in between these areas, we ain't coming.
I would say vote every one of them ESDs out. That's the case.
Well, I mean,
And
Talking about a district boundary, what
No, I'm
the
just
ESD
open.
encompasses for taxes and what the fire coverage boundary encompasses. They're two different boundaries.
Well-
That needs to be a negotiation between the ESDs on who's covering what areas because of where the stations are located. It's been in discussion for a few years.
yeah, so I mean, that's, and like I say, it's not gonna make or break if they go away, dollars wise. Like I say, they know it's
They're still
coming.
gonna respond.
Everybody's coming out there, so they're going. That's the reason we paid it, so these people can go places they couldn't.
Well, no, the reason it's paid was because back then they were VFDs and they didn't have any money to begin with. And it's been going on like that for years. And so, you know, they knew it was coming.
Yeah,
I
they're
mean,
fine.
There's other avenues, you know, to get it back. They've got ESDs now, you know, and so.
Yeah.
And ESD 3 has already said a year ago that y'all.
yeah, they've already said.
But
that.
they all sign mutual aid agreements, so it's not like somebody's gonna say, no, we're not showing up here, you know? Shame on them if they
Yeah.
do.
If
So-
they don't show up, that's when I'll politic to get them out.
Sign that mutual aid agreement.
Yeah.
Not going to, we're covered under the state mutual aid agreement. We're not gonna, the mutual aid agreement that they had was through the city and it gave the city exclusive control. And we weren't interested in that.
Okay. So it's not, like I said, it's not a huge deal,
Yeah.
but it's,
But you're covered under the state mutual aid agreement.
Okay.
What I'm getting at. That was the point.
okay. So if it frees up 70 grand, it's hard to say no to that though, too. You know?
Yeah.
That don't mean it goes to precinct 3.
We need that, right?
Y'all
Anything?
done with budget for the day or want to?
I'm never done till you tell me I'm done, Miss Patricia.
Well,
You're the
I mean,
boss.
we've gone through the list on a very high level.
Yeah.
I think the one consensus that I heard was that the items under 4,000 to work with the departments in the current year.
Yeah.
There were 2 items in maintenance for him to look at and come back to court. And then the next step will be to go through the list and put yes or no penalties in the budget. And so that can be done today, or we can pick up at that point next week.
Well, I think
Or
we
the
need to
third, or next week even.
We need to hear from the jail folks. They need to be in here with us. The constables need to be here.
Yeah.
Who else? Missing somebody?
EMS,
EMS, yeah, EMS needs to be here.
oh, it's all the big ones in here.
All the big ones.
So
Amy,
do
is
y'all
that-
want to meet next week, have a special meeting and invite those people to give us?
That would probably be better.
I like that idea.
Yeah, EMS and constables.
Trying to think, are we missing anybody? The jail?
Is out of town, he has asked, because it was kind of stated on the salary committee meeting. That the salary committee need to meet, and if so, on what items? That way, we can try to get that before the next meeting also to bring back to court.
We done talked
I'm
to
out of
Dan.
what y'all want us to do.
Salary stuff for sure. I mean, all these, I mean, I'm not just up for forgiveness.
Yeah, I think my 2 cents would be a little committee get together and just look at every single salary request. And we can give our,
Extension.
Except for the 5%, because that's a cost.
Except for the 5%. Yeah.
Is that what?
What are
the
they
court
asking
wants?
for?
Good stuff. Lot of
That's
little
bunch
stuff.
of junk.
I mean, everybody keeps saying.
They always
5%.
buy that kind of stuff. That's just what
What
they
else
do.
we got?
I mean,
Two of them's not for it.
Guarantee of
I'm saying the
That's
5%
almost gonna
isn't
be a
on the
back
salary
end, too.
committee to recommend. It would be
Andy
the
needs to
actual
review.
department.
Yeah, Andy.
Andy?
Andy Isabel needs to come in.
yeah.
The jail, Andy, we done talked to the sheriff, EMS,
Constables.
constable.
But I know that the salary committee.
You wanna
Okay.
ag essentially.
I don't know, it's up to y'all. I mean,
I mean, most of their stuff is
just
small
little
stuff.
Yeah, just little stuff.
There's not much at ag really.
Did they get a projector last year? Did they get a projector last year? I went through budget last year. and-
They ask for them fairly often because I think their lives must be
Yeah.
fairly short. But I can get you the detailed list of what they got.
I just went back and compared last year's to this year and
Very similar.
on everybody, you know.
I'd like to do it, I'd like to do something next Monday with the folks.
We'll probably need at some point, when you get to that point, get your EMS guys, not your ESD guys.
ESD like next Monday.
Maybe get them over here. To have a little bit of discussion with them.
Yeah, I think they should be here Monday. I have an appointment to be somewhere else on July 3rd. So I won't be here meeting. It's a big one, I know that, but it's like.
Don't worry, I'll make the decision.
We'll take care and load that session up.
I don't expect the budget to be adopted by 2 o'clock, July 3rd.
It's more of a no yes meeting.
Okay, all right. So I just can't be here for that one. All the others I'll be here for. I just can't make that one. So
Don't worry, Bill, I'll take the slack over there.
I know you will. I know.
I'll take care of it.
I know.
While you was out to the bathroom, I took care of you all to go.
Fixed up.
So what does the court want to do for the salary committee? They can get a director.
Yeah, I think y'all need to meet. I mean, that's the purpose of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to meet and at least look at them.
I would like to see the ESD standards. They gotta look at their budget, they gotta figure it out, but that's the direction I'd like to see all the ESTs go.
Why are they building $1 million building for an ambulance?
Well, it's gonna have a sleeping room or a room for like a duty crew out there. And that's just what it costs to build
They
it.
have a-
ESD 3 just built one for 300,000.
Okay, maybe that's. the
And they
number.
just-
I don't know.
I'm just,
That's the number there.
Maybe-
That's the number they put out.
maybe that's a huge building. Yeah, don't have 4 days on it.
One thing I
Crash
think
Crew,
that would
300
be
something.
helpful to those who work directly with EMS is a list of all the vehicles that they have, which ones are in operation, which ones are backup, when they were purchased. Because we've purchased 3 or 4 ambulances in the last 2
years.
years.
Yeah.
So I think there needs to be a new master list that court can look at.
Yeah, I'm sure she has, I don't know if she's still there or not, but I'm sure she has that.
Yes,
No,
I'm here.
I couldn't see you.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry. I have it. All of the years that we got them, their current mileage. Mark keeps it updated pretty much weekly with our new ESO software. So I'll have all of that for you guys.
Thank you.
Anybody got anything else?
No,
Meeting adjourned 12:40.
let's do it.
Sound like a plan.